You guys get you just use. I don't care.
No.
Gentlemen,
Like,
we are live.
There we go. David, do you say that so you're the first voice everybody hears? Is that what it is?
100%.
I'm convinced that is your way of doing it. Gentlemen, start your engines. Anyways,
My micro
we are on episode number 85, Adam. We have Adam back with us, Phil here, but we have a special guest, David Harris Jr. David, how you doing?
Welcome, David. Welcome,
How you
David.
feeling?
Welcome,
Good.
David.
So
Thanks for having me.
Don't leave me hang.
we had a nice little podcast what do you call it, meeting last night.
Yes.
Short meeting. Started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, ended at midnight, which was a lot of prep, a lot of role play, pull, all that stuff. But then we had good conversations with David last night. Yourself, Adam, I wish you guys were there last night. Adam was hardcore debating David. Trying to convince David how amazing of a country America is.
Yeah, he wouldn't budge though.
He wouldn't budge.
All I remember is the Legos.
Do you play Legos?
Yeah.
How often do
I'm
people
like,
ask you
where
that
is
question?
That
though?
going? I don't think I've ever been asked that question.
Well, I mean, there's a first time for everything, you know. For
I was
At
never
least-
asked that question until Pat brought it up. So.
Yeah. So, anyways, David, for some guys who don't know your story, take a quick moment, give him your story. I mean, obviously, you and I got connected when we first sat down and we spoke in Dallas. I think there was an event going on.
Yeah.
We came down. We had a meeting behind closed doors, spoke, and then we realized our story goes way, I don't know how many years back goes to the connection. But tell us your story so the audience knows as well.
So I'm from Northern California and a Christian, raised a Christian, didn't always walk that path. Obviously, I don't know of too many people that were able to stay that true course for just their whole life. Some have, and that's amazing. But I had internal battles and demons and things that I had to deal with. So, but always very conservative by nature. Married my high school sweetheart right out of high school.
Wow.
So we just celebrated 27 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
Through literal
Unbelievable.
hell.
Beautiful family, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. Been through hell and back, but she held on. I held on, and we had faith that God would pull us through, and He did.
Kids?
2 daughters, yeah, 23 and
You're a girl
25. Yeah,
Wow.
yep. I got
Congrats.
2.
Don't look
two
at his
daddy's
Instagram
girls.
profile because his daughters are beautiful, by the way. So
I'm not looking at nothing.
Yeah,
Don't worry
Adam,
about
seriously,
me.
with you, we have a code for Adam. Stick to Tinder. But go ahead, please
Done.
continue.
So, entrepreneur.
Bumble, I'm sorry. Please don't
Hinge.
get
Hinge
offended.
is actually
Hinge is in
dope
a
these
way.
days.
Go ahead. Entrepreneur.
Yeah, entrepreneur. Started my first company when I was 20. Had some semi-success. We're doing a couple $1 million a year in business. But when you got internal stuff in there, a lot of money, it can turn into a lot of problems and headaches. So long story short, getting to where my kind of social media platform started to grow. And hello to anybody out there on YouTube that's hearing me now, because I was banned about a month ago on YouTube. My YouTube page was unpublished. But what started it was right after the third debate between Trump and Hillary. I'm watching this debate. I'm hearing Trump talk. I'm hearing Hillary talk. And I'd seen and been paying attention to what I felt the mainstream media was doing, taking clips out of context against Trump and then painting him like this evil racist guy when everybody loved Trump before he ran for office as a Republican.
Yeah.
I firmly believe if he would have ran as a Democrat, they would have treated him like Obama, like the next coming savior is how they treated Obama. And I didn't vote for him. I was trying to wake people up. I have a chapter in my book when Obama became president. I cried, but it was a cry for of remorse because of who I felt Obama was not the right leader for our country. But it was strange because it was also mingled with a black man just became president.
So it was bittersweet for you at
It
the
was
time.
very bittersweet.
Wow,
Yeah,
interesting.
more bitter than sweet. But yeah. Anyway, I tried to wake people up because for me, I've always believed and felt and known the same I think any child does towards a baby in the womb. A baby in the womb is a baby, whether it's inside or outside the womb. People know that. Kids know that. And I think science proves that now as well. So for me, there was no way that I could vote for a man that believed that abortion was okay, especially partial birth abortion. He voted in favor of partial birth abortion, Obama did. He voted against a bill that would have provided medical treatment to babies that survived abortions. And when I first found out he was running for president, I was excited. And my mom, thank God for good moms that pray for you and family that pray for you. She said, go research how he votes on the issues that matter to you. And so when I found those things out on his stance on abortion, I said, I don't care what color he is. He's not getting my vote. And I tried to wake
Now,
some
did you
people
grow
up.
up as a conservative? You grown up in the church? Were you?
Oh, I did until I was about 15, 16, then started drinking. And
Were you ever
drugs
a Democrat?
and-
Were you ever on the left? Were you ever
I was
somebody?
never really political.
When did you become political? At what age?
It was probably Obama. It was before '08 because, I mean, it was a big thing for the black community. There was a black guy running for president.
Yeah.
Right? And I think most of the black community kind of woke up to saying, what?
David,
Are you
literally
kidding me?
pre-2011, you were never in politics. You didn't follow it.
No.
Wow.
I mean, I followed a little bit. Yeah, '08.
08.
Yeah, because he went from 8 to 12 to 16. I followed it a little
What
bit.
did I say? What year did I say?
11.
11.
Secretary,
No,
okay.
I mean 07. I mean 07, meaning
Yeah.
campaign. He's coming up. So did you hear him speak in 04? Did you
No.
see his DNC speech?
No.
Okay. So
No.
06, you're not really following any of this stuff. 07, oh my God, someone's going to be a black president. This is pretty amazing. Let me
Yeah.
start following it. And then you said, conversation with mom, change your mind. You may want to see what of his some of his values are.
Yeah, and I'm glad she didn't direct me. She didn't say, oh, no, you can't do this, or yes, you can do this, which I think is a huge issue, especially in the black community. But I think for a lot of families, period, where parents just try to say, well, you have to do this because of this.
Yeah.
And they don't give their kids the opportunity to actually think for themselves. So when I researched and found that out, I tried to wake up as many people as I could. It was bittersweet when he won. And then it was like, okay, round 2, 2012. Are we going to do this again? And we freaking did it again. And it was just like, you know.
So you weren't a fan of Obama starting in
No.
07, 08.
No.
Now, can I ask you a question? And then I obviously want to hear Phil's opinion on this. You said last night, being a black man who's a conservative, that a lot of your family has alienated you, right?
Yes.
Do you mind if we discuss that? And
No,
I know
not at
you,
all.
You talked about the story where you stayed at the Trump Hotel and your mom wouldn't go. Like, what's it like just being a conservative black man? Your family's alienating you. I think 90+% of African Americans vote for Obama or approve Democrat. Like, what's that like for guys like you?
Go ahead, Phil.
I mean, I'll be honest, like going back to what you're saying from last night, you know, I competed at the Olympia. I always wanted to stay at a hotel where I had all the amenities that I needed. And it just happened to be the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas that provided that. I didn't really think much of it. I'm kind of like David. Like, I really didn't even pay attention to politics until Obama came
You're just
about.
staying at a dope hotel. That was
Yeah,
it.
that's really what it was. But, you know.
And his hotels are dope.
Yeah, and they are.
I
Second to
concur,
none.
sir.
Yeah, they're amazing. I was always treated with great amount of respect, receiving letters from his son or, you know, like, hey, because I'm there for 10 plus years. But anyway, you know, I really noticed that a lot of my family would not meet me there.
Starting what year?
From the very beginning, but I
Like,
just didn't pay attention.
you're
Like, let's say
saying
2008. So from 2008, I was staying at the Trump Hotel,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And, you know, winning the Olympia in 2011, 12, 13, and so on. Not much, you know, of them would come through. So,
Also, even pre him becoming a president.
yeah, so
Got
like
it.
it was very interesting.
Because
So,
he was the leading the birther cause against Obama.
I have no idea, you know, but I remember it had to be something
Which actually
like that.
started with Hillary.
Right.
Trump didn't start that birther message.
So-
Trump
well,
just picked-
if
Trump
she
picked
started
up.
it, he certainly took it and ran with it.
Oh, no, he ran with it.
So definitely asking a simple question like, hey, like, why are you guys not coming through? And they're like, you know, your mom hates Trump. And I'm like, well, what the hell does that have to do with
Prior
me?
to him running to president.
Like right before that.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, what the hell does that have to do with your only son actually staying here? Like, for me, it was just about, like, did the person treat you wrong? No. Okay. At the end of the day, I looked at, you know, from that day forward as, why are people just hating on this guy? You never met him. What policies are you disagreeing with? Because I would, you know, love to be able to have some understanding. And for the most part, most of my family, you know, they don't really talk about it. But when you talk about like force or like, you know, pushing agendas, that is definitely, you know, a part of, you know, family. But I'm always the type that has always been in the middle. I always just want to vote, like, take the names off the ballot. Let me look at the actual policies and just what do I identify with? And that's how I've always voted.
Very hard to do, by the way. We talk about that a lot here.
Well, anyways, to fast forward to where David's at today. I mean, if you follow David's stuff on Instagram, David's got millions of views. Millions, it's not even proper to say millions of views. Probably hundreds of millions online views is what David's got. He's all over the place. If you're not already following him, you may want to go follow him to see what he's doing. Let's put the link below for folks to be able to find him as well. Let's get right into some topics. Topics. A lot's happened. We haven't been here for about a week and a half because of last week's vault, which was absolutely sick.
Sick.
With Dustin Poirier, we had what do you call it? Garry Kasparov, who crushed it.
Billy
by the way,
Bean.
the message he had against communism was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Billy Bean there talking about data. We had who else? I'm forgetting. Phil spoke.
Your friend,
Greg Shear talking about private equity.
Phil
from
crushed it.
Phil absolutely crushed it, and then you know,
And you.
1,000
spoke
people in the
80%
room.
of the time, Pat.
1,000 people in the room. We had a nice party at the yacht, and afterwards we had a nice party at the house a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
You know, the place was unreal. But the most common conversation, people were there to find out how to take their businesses to the next level, right?
That's right.
One of the most common conversations that everybody was talking about is how afraid they were about freedom and capitalism. So cameras off, there's no cameras, we're talking at the restaurant. Hey, Pat, what do you think about what's going to happen with freedom? What do you think what's going to happen with capitalism? What do you think what's going to happen? These are people from around the world that are all having the same types of conversations about what we're going to be doing. But Garry got up and Garry delivered a message. He called out Putin. He called out everybody with no restriction. He didn't hold anything back because he ran in 08 against Putin. Here's the GOAT of chess. You're talking about a guy that played chess for what? He was number one for 250-something months in a row. I've never heard of anybody being number one 255 months in a row. That's over 21 years where you're, think about all the GOATs of all time. Who has ever been first place for 255 months in poker, in tennis, in basketball, in baseball? I've never heard of anybody. Now, the credit to chess players, you can't get a knee injury. It's not gonna get you're not gonna
Right.
your elbows out. You know, I got to get some kind of a treatment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the mental fortitude to be able to stay that. But
I love that question you asked him. By the way, you said like you talk about you can
Yeah.
have a knee blowout, but
Yeah.
you know, sports, you know, everything that's happened with you. But in chess,
How'd he get
it's
injured?
all up here.
Yeah, he did.
And his answer was, look, at some point after 20 years of being
It
on top,
doesn't matter anymore.
You just get kind of bored.
Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, and then I said, "So how politics? Any aspirations for politics?" He's like, "No, I don't do politics. I don't do politics."
That was on stage.
On stage. So what do you mean you don't do politics? We
Yeah.
had a good conversation in the back.
Would you share that conversation?
The
behind
one in
scenes?
the back?
Yeah, it was pretty.
I'll share a part of it, but I
Yeah.
asked him. I said, "What are you doing?"
Right.
He says, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "What was this all about?" He says, "I don't understand the question." I said, "You have a message that the world needs to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're a 7-year-old kid in Russia under a communistic regime that becomes a phenom. The entire time you think America's the worst country in the world. Then you get a flavor of capitalism at 13 years old. Then you realize how amazing capitalism is. Then you come back and you win for your country. You are one of a few people who was able to make it because chess in Russia is seen as, you know, it's like
one of their main
I said,
sources of sport.
now you got a message with all the mess going on in the world and you want to stay quiet? He says, well, I tweet, I write. I said, no, that's not
Yeah,
enough,
that's
man. You
not
got to do
enough.
something.
Yeah.
So he says, what do you think we should do? Anyways, he sent you an email,
He
which
did.
you guys are doing
I'm
something
gonna
together in
forward it to
October.
you.
Yeah. But anyways, it was good because more and more, you would be amazed how many people around the world support capitalism. I had a tweet that went out today about the fact that, you know, why I love capitalism. I said, here's a kid, Valuetainment put it up. What was the messaging? Let me see if I have it here. If you want to pull it up, Kai. And then a guy responds back, and this is the one messaging that gets heat sometimes. Let me see where this is, Kai. If you pull it up. Okay, why I love capitalism. It says capitalism allowed an immigrant like me with 0 generational wealth, 0 privileges, and a 1.8 GPA to my dreams become a reality. The only privilege I need was the fact that my parents sacrificed everything to bring us to U.S., right? The rest was on me. So then a guy responds back and he says, capitalism works if you have capital to start off with, right? If you have capital.
You must not be able to read.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy responds back and he says, capitalism only works if you have capitalism to start off with. And I said, not true. I started off with 0, no generational wealth. Dad was a 99-cent store cashier. Mom went back to Iran because she ran out of money. I saved every penny I could on my jobs instead of partying in order to one day start a business. Others can do the same. There's this notion that capitalism only benefits the rich. Capitalism only benefits, you know, the few. But at the end of the day, it's the greatest economical system that allows anybody with whatever skin color you have, whatever nationality, whatever religion. We're at the event. You're having all these conversations. I cannot tell you how big of a Muslim population we had at the event.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Our friend-
Muslim capitalists.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're at the event.
Our friend Tamara.
Just crying from stage, emotional. One girl got up, she was crying, saying, As a Muslim from Azerbaijan, I cannot wait. She says, I'm willing to sacrifice my own life to finish and end communism.
Wow.
A
Young
Muslim.
female,
This
young
makes
female.
no
Amazing.
sense.
No.
There was one Muslim girl who Mario saw and says, hey, can I give you a hug? She says, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. She's that devout to her religion,
Right.
but supports capitalism. It doesn't matter what educational level you were at, what part of the world, what nationality. It looked like the United Nations were there, except they were there to support capitalism. It was a beautiful thing to see
12
taking
different
place.
countries, I believe.
Yeah, 12 different.
Including
During
United
COVID.
States.
During
Yeah.
COVID. By the way, one of our biggest audiences is Australia. They couldn't come out.
Right, they're locked
One of
down.
our biggest, we have Italy, that was one of our biggest, couldn't come out.
Yep.
Germany, so many different
So
places couldn't come out.
There's a guy from Germany that got denied visa 3 times.
Yeah.
And he got in the 4th. He went to the embassy. They told him no. He changed the
One
format.
guy-
He applied again.
One guy flew from, I don't know what it was, I don't know where it was from.
No, I
he
think it was
flew.
Netherlands, maybe.
He flew to one country, then they send him back. He flew to another country, then they send him back. Then he flew to Istanbul to try to go from Istanbul to Central America to come to U.S. In Istanbul, they hold him back. He's about to get on a flight. They send him back. He wasn't able to make the event. 3 different ways he tried to
Wow.
come out. I mean, it's a mess right now around the world with what's going on. We got obviously a lot of stories to cover. It's good to be back. Update on BizDoc. BizDoc is doing very good.
Yes.
He's making a lot of progress. I'm happy for him. It was a very positive news yesterday. He was in ICU with pneumonia, but he's doing better.
Shout out to
And,
BizDoc.
yeah, absolutely, man. Everybody that's been praying for him or meditating, praying or meditating,
Sending positive thoughts.
sending positive thoughts and vibes. It's been working, but it's good to be back. Having said that, let me kind of go through a couple stories we got, and we'll pick some of them. We'll get into them. David, I definitely want to get your take on a couple things. One is Hawaii, one is Italy, one is Australia, and Taliban, because you've been very much involved in spreading message, and I know you're connected with a lot of guys that are giving you stories on what's really going on. So we'll get into that here as well. So here's a few stories that we have. Tech giants are rushing to develop their own chips. Here's why. Kai, you may want to turn off your mic. We'll talk about that story. Scotland to trial a 4-day work week. Latest nation to attempt shift. Disappointing August job report that came back that threw a wrench in Fed's taper plan, which the numbers weren't slightly off. They were dramatically off. More Americans are taking jobs without employer benefits like health or paid vacation. We'll cover that here in a minute. California gas prices record-breaking on Labor Day weekend. We'll talk about the numbers there. Tim Tebow joining ESPN's First Take as new Stephen A. Smith's foe. Adam Sandler says Netflix asked him to rewrite his new movie so it wasn't set in China because the company doesn't do business in China. Taliban declares China as their closest ally. Taliban angry and disappointed after U.S. disabled military equipment before leaving Kabul. Trump reportedly effing hates Ron DeSantis. We're going to ask David to see if he's ever heard anything like this before. Melania Trump is telling friends that she has no interest in being the first lady, despite her husband's 2024 teases, report says, and Texas can openly carry guns in public without a permit or training. Police say the new law makes it harder to do their jobs. Having said that, let's first get into gas prices with California, because California just loves paying high gas prices. Let's give them a little shout out here with what happened with gas prices. Okay. Californians will pay highest Labor Day weekend gas prices ever. Fox Business Story. Drivers in California will pay more than Labor Day weekend for gasoline than they have ever in the past for the first time of year. According to numbers from Automobile Club of California, the current $4.39 per gallon price of regular gas is California's new record high for Labor Day weekend, up from $3.23 a year ago. The current national average is $3.18. And California's $4.39. The prior highest per regular on Labor Day weekend was in 2012 when it was $4.16. The average price of gas in U.S. has continued to climb since the beginning of last year, and deadly Hurricane Ida hitting the critical refinery areas of the Gulf Coast in recent days sparked concerns that shortages could drive gas prices even higher. FYI, the record-breaking day for California ever for gas prices was October of 2012, $4.70. What are your thoughts on gas prices in California, Adam? I'll go to you first.
Well, by the way, how do you remember that it was October of 2012?
I looked at it. Yeah, I looked at it.
Okay,
yesterday
gotcha.
'cause I
Were
wanted
you
to know.
living in California at that time?
October 2012. I'm in California.
Look, I
Yeah.
think it's sort of a combination of a few things. It's sort of the perfect storm, not to use the Ida analogy there, but obviously the hurricane hitting the refineries doesn't help. I think notoriously, the end of summer, Labor Day, this is your last vacation. People are trying to hit the streets. People are trying to get out of there. Supply and demand. People clearly want to go hit the road. And then obviously you got to look at inflation and say, all right, like, is this here? Is this leaving? I think it's just sort of the perfect storm. And the beautiful thing, like in capitalism, you have a choice. You don't have to take that cross-country trip. You can stay home. Obviously, a lot of people in California, thank you, Caroline, don't have to necessarily leave their houses. But that's the beautiful thing. If you don't want to deal with these ridiculous prices, don't take a long road trip. If paying $1 or $2 extra, I mean, what is that going to come out to? Another $50, $100 on your trip is really something you're not worried about? Take your trip. But obviously nobody loves paying high prices for gas, but supply and demand, it is what it is. But you live in California, right? You lived in California.
I lived in California.
So you're used to
I'm a
these
California
ridiculous prices,
kid.
no?
Well, yeah, they always seem to go up around holidays like Labor Day, 4th of July, anytime that people are traveling a bunch. But, you know, the thing with California is everything is so high. The cost of living is so high that I think their economy is like, could be the third, you know, largest country in the world just based out of California and how much money goes through there. And the country is just going to the toilet. I mean, there's so much homelessness. And they continue. Again, it's like everything doesn't have to be political, but when you continue to elect the people that are pushing for and allowing things like, you know, the woman that got shot and killed by the illegal, oh, well, he's not guilty. But people can go in now and they can rob less than $1,000 from a store and literally just walk out of the store and the cops aren't even going to get called on them. And you can take a crap on the street. That's okay, too. But don't you dare use a plastic straw. And then you look at how the state's been ran by Gavin Mussolini, who's had absolute lockdown, right, on businesses when throughout the whole entire state, you've got people that aren't working, people that can't go to work, families that own businesses that can't open their doors, and then you want to add high gas prices on top of it. So the perfect storm to me is not only what is taking place with the gas line, with Hurricane Ida, all that stuff does play a part, but for California as a whole, they need new leadership over there. You know, they need somebody that's actually going to say, okay, wait a minute, we need to make some changes in how we're going to enact these policies. We need to start focusing on things that are going to actually help Californians. And the main thing that's going to help Californians is allowing them to go to work, allowing them to open up their businesses. You know, California is probably the closest state, and New York is the closest state to what we're seeing take place in Australia right now. Where I posted on my Instagram on my way in here today, they're literally talking about a system implementing a system in Australia where you can't go and buy or sell anything unless you've gotten the jab. He's literally talking about they want a vaccinated society in Australia. He's like, we're not there yet because we still have people that, you know, we still have open dates for you can get the jab. But if you want to get this vaccine, you're going to have to get it because we're going to shut it down. It's like that's happening.
Do you think there's some dark forces at work that are purposely driving up the gas prices so Californians aren't running around town and doing that? Or is it just actually because it's Labor Day, Ida? Is there a hidden backstory, or is it because it is what it is with supply and demand?
What I just
I think it is what it is. I'm not sure. You know, I mean, we're in a spiritual battle all the time, but
Listen,
you've never been a conspiracy
guy.
People.
Yeah.
He's never been a conspiracy guy. What are you starting a conspiracy here? You're setting David
Right?
up. Go ahead, David. Got to be careful with this guy.
Mussolini, I like that. That's a good one.
Maybe Caroline put something else in there, but please go ahead.
So they need new leadership. You know, hopefully they'll get it. Hopefully they'll actually get a fair election on this recall with Newsom.
You think he's got a chance?
I think Larry Elder has a chance if the election is actually credible. I mean,
did you read that article by LA Times about Larry Elder?
What? Yeah, the one calling him a racist,
white supremacist.
White supremacist. Yeah.
Larry Elder is a white supremacist. LA Times does an article calling him a white supremacist.
That's when you know you're a threat.
Is that an article from The Onion?
No.
You know what they did? First pull up the price.
You know what they did?
You know what this reminds me of?
They just took Trump's name off of it, put Larry in there.
Click on regular.
Yeah.
You've seen the Chappelle skit with
Click
the
on
Clayton
regular.
Bigsby, where he's the
Click on
KKK
regular.
black
Oh, the black-
He's a
Klansman.
black Klansman. Yeah,
He was blind and didn't know.
Yeah,
It's like, what? That's what they're trying to pull on Larry Elder
Go
right
to
now?
the right of Alaska. You see where it says go to Alaska. No, right there on the list. Gas prices. Bottom. Kai. Bottom. Oh, my gosh.
Kai doing
you're
Kai
driving me
things.
insane.
Kai doing Kai.
the column on the bottom.
Click on this, and it's going to do ranking by the highest. Holy moly. Okay, get that a little higher. Look, this is the biggest concern, though, if you think about it.
Yep.
I understand if gas prices between the highest and the bottom one is 30 cents, maybe even 45 cents. California is officially higher than Hawaii. How the hell is
That's
gas prices in
crazy.
California higher than Hawaii? So California is $4.39, okay? Premium, you're paying $4.71, by the way. Diesel's $4.38. Then
And that's average in the state.
That's average in the state. That means it could be.
Some parts of the
Yes.
some parts of the state are seeing $5 and $6
That's right.
in gas.
That's right.
Isn't California more than anyone pushing electric vehicles? Is that part of it?
Well, of course, yeah, they are. And we'll talk about the chip shortage. But so California, you got $4.39. Then you got Hawaii, then Nevada, Washington, Utah, Idaho, Oregon, Alaska, $3.66. Wyoming, Illinois, $3.33. Montana, New York. New York is $3.20. How the hell is New York $3.28 and California is $4.39?
$1.20 more.
How is that even? These are both ran by similar type of politics. How the hell is California a dollar higher than New York?
And New York just got hit with Ida.
And New York is the one that got hit with that,
Flooded.
not even
Yeah,
California.
right.
Kai, where's
So
Florida on
even
this list? Keep
DC
going.
is $3.20. Keep going lower. Arizona's $3.14. North Dakota's $3.60. Adam, if you're thinking about it, North Dakota may not be a bad market
Lovely
for
this
you.
time
Keep
of
going
year.
up. Keep going up. Ohio $3.28. Florida
Florida.
$3 and a penny. Okay. Iowa is the first one that breaks the $2 mark. Keep going lower. Keep going lower. Tennessee $2.90. Texas is going to be the second to the bottom, I think.
Look
Yeah,
at
Texas
Texas.
$2.80. Mississippi
Boom.
$2.79.
Wow.
That's why you're in Texas.
So,
That's
Pat,
right.
break
Well,
this all down. What do you think is
thank you,
happening
Lord.
here?
Well, first of all, states have the ability to add their own individual taxes, which is what Newsom did.
Like a
Newsom,
VAT tax?
Right.
Newsom added an additional gas tax, 25 cents, 15 cents, 13 cents. So it's not a big deal. No one's going to pay and no one's going to notice it. It's just a 25-cent hike. So California has some of the most gas tax on top of everybody else that they add to
You're
it.
saying California is kind of gassy.
It is kind of gassy. Only you would think of
Very
it that way, but
taxing.
that's great.
Well, that's
yes.
our friend who called you out
Well,
earlier.
this is what happens when you spend a lot of time with kids last night. You know, there was a lot of kids. You're getting them to dress up a little bit.
That was not me.
First of all, and you bring them up, and
That was not me.
You-
Don't pin that
for
on
the-
me.
That's
Don't you pin this on me,
that is
Ricky
going to
Bobby.
be on you for the rest of your life.
Oh
I
my
went
God,
and Adam
yes.
said, Dylan said, Adam asked me to dress up to come to you. And I said, Adam's
Not
going to
true.
be in trouble for this one. Anyways, so the biggest conversation with this, again, dude, I don't mind if you tell me you're in Alaska and you say, look, you're in Hawaii, we don't have access to gas. It has to go from here to here to here to here to here. Fine. Little bit of argument. You're California. You're not New York. You're a buck higher than New York. You're a buck 10 higher than DC. What is your argument? California keeps constantly hurting themselves. If there's ever been a time for the state of California to be willing to try another way of thinking and leading, like an elder or anybody else, this may be the time to do it. And
Well,
by the way, this guy actually stands a chance.
And why not make history? First black governor of California ever.
Well, LA Times will say first black white supremacist
Yeah.
governor. Can you pull up that article about?
It's disgusting, you know. It's
It
really
is disgusting. No question about
They're
it.
Yeah,
using
they
the
just don't
Trump
care.
playbook. Like
Yeah,
that's the hard
100%.
part.
But I
Right,
got
it's
to
hard
tell
to
And
you,
put it on a
hopefully
black
that's
man.
waking people up too.
no man.
To see that, wait a minute, you're now calling a black guy that's been in California most of his life on the radio for 30 years trying to wake people up. You're now calling him a white supremacist?
Kai, you see the first one. Like
It's
I don't
insane.
understand what you're doing. You just clicked on it. It says white supremacy. Go to the next one.
Kai, listen, in Kai's
Kai
defense,
is-
he
what
woke
have
up
you had
late.
for
He woke
breakfast
up
today?
late today. He's
David, I'm
he's on
begging you
Norwegian
switch
time.
seats with Kai today. Kai is.
Kai, everything okay?
Did you
over there, bud?
work too hard at the vault?
is this-
Like what
if this
was
is too
it?
much,
He
just
did.
let me
He
know.
did.
Look, okay. LA Times story. Larry Elder's fans prove he's a face of white supremacy. That's
this
LA
is-
Times. Okay. You think somebody's got to buy LA Times maybe to just kind of shift their way of thinking a little bit? Anyway, so California.
How is that? Just as two, black men, how do you register that? A black man being the face of white supremacy in California. How do you process this?
Ignorance and bigotry.
Thank you.
It's like they're, it's the bigot, it's the racist that is going to throw out the race card at somebody that A, has nothing whatsoever to do with the entire mantra, the entire phrase, the ideology of what a white supremacist is, and B is just doesn't care what people think. It's like they're publishing this, a national paper, right? The LA Times publishing a story to their readers tells you that they believe that they've got enough of a stranglehold programming, right? Like TV's programming, enough of a programming mechanism on their readers to believe some of them will believe it. Let's just go ahead and run with it. And then the other thing it does, it completely dilutes what it would mean to be a white supremacist. It's like they want to take the worst possible thing. It's like calling somebody Hitler, saying they're Nazi. They want to take the worst possible thing and label somebody that to hope that there's a shock reaction.
Do you think it works? Do you think that's
unfortunately, unfortunately, it does for some folks because they're so programmed. They don't know any different.
You know what I think that does, though. Let me tell you what. This is my opinion. I may be completely wrong.
And then I think some people it wakes them up. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think to me, like you ever had somebody that was older than you or whatever? They tried to kind of impose a certain mindset on you to divide you against a relative or somebody that you knew well. You know that person, and they try to say something.
But that's the thing. You knew them well.
Right, but what I'm saying is, even if somebody tries to patronize me and I'm somebody that questions everything, that article pisses me off, even if I don't follow politics. An article like that gets me to say, the hell are you talking about?
But how many are free thinkers at this point?
I think more than you think, because I think, by the way, it's not the majority, that's for sure.
Right.
But I do think that 10, 20% is more than you think. And it doesn't take, look, at the end of the day, how many people does it take to change the generational curse of any family? How many? One person, right? It doesn't take 50, not 100. So if your family's filled with alcoholics, one guy says, boom, I'm done, I'm not doing it anymore. We're not alcoholics in this family. Well, your dad drank, your grandfather drank, your uncles drank, I'm not doing it. Cocaine, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, somebody eventually says what? You're poor, you're broke. This entire family, everybody says, we're poor, we're poor, we're poor. One person says done, and then all the other kids or nephews, nieces says, one day I want to be like that uncle. One day I want to be like that auntie. One day I want to be like that person. It takes one person. Articles like that, I believe, wakes up people who were never involved in the first place. And then they say, dude, you know what? I'm getting the freaking ring. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then they get pissed off. That's what I bet on.
Yeah. That's what I hope happens more than anything.
I think there's more free thinkers than we think. By the way, a good-looking guy named Gerard Michaels just gave $20. What a sweetheart. What a sweetheart, Gerard. What a sweetheart of a guy. You know, man.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Shout out to Gerard. I have a feeling we'll see him later today, don't you think?
I have a feeling we will as well.
What a guy.
Anyways, real quick. Rogan De La Hoya, okay?
What's going on there?
I know this is the story you wanted me to cover.
Clearly.
So Rogan De La Hoya, both get COVID, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. De La Hoya gets COVID. He's vaccinated. He's in a hospital talking about he doesn't feel good.
Can't hardly talk.
Can hardly talk.
He's like,
and he had a fight come up. Yeah, and he posted a video on Instagram, I think. Rogan gets COVID. He openly talks about it. I don't feel good. I don't do this. 3 days later, after he tested positive, he tests negative because he said, we took the entire, what did it say, kitchen?
He's taking ivermectin, isn't he? The horse tranquilizer or whatever the hell that is.
That's what the mainstream media is trying to label it.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm just saying. This is what
you just said.
Ivermectin's been used for 40 years in this country for Americans, for people, for humans. But just like for drugs for humans, they've got stuff for dogs, they've got stuff for horses and everything else. But
here's the biggest thing. This is the biggest thing. The biggest thing is with the fact that the guy, my household, there's a bunch of people that have, in the house I'm living in, a bunch of people that have taken a vaccine, some that don't want to take it. So for us, it's not like, hey, you want to take it? Yeah, I'm going to take it. Oh, cool, go take it. Someone's like, I'm not going to take it, but I'm going to take it eventually. Okay, great. Some say, I'm just not going to take it. I don't think I need it. Fine. Whatever your position is with the vaccine, right? There's an audience that's pissed off that Rogan found a way to fix himself and heal himself without any remedies. Why? That's the part that confuses me the most. If somebody figures out a way to get themselves, now here's the thing. When COVID first came about, there was a couple different camps. One was what? It's fake. One was what? It's real. Okay. We all learned very quickly it's not fake. If you had COVID, it sucks. You had it. I had it. I don't know if you've had it or not. You said you may have had it. I don't even know about it.
Yep.
I think you had it. You ended up having it, right? Yep. Right after some event or something that took place. Okay. Are you open talking about when that was when you got it or no?
It was right after Cherie got it.
Okay. So, but it was right after a show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have COVID. When you had it, symptoms. What happens? For me, I lost 20 plus pounds. It sucked. I flat out lost 20 pounds. Taste, didn't do anything to me with taste. Breathing, didn't do anything to me with breathing. I just couldn't eat. For you lost smell, which is actually not a bad thing if you think about it. For like
Who's got onions?
Garlic.
Who's got onions? Pat, if
Somebody's
it smells
gassy.
like if it smells like
Somebody's
onions in the
gassy.
office,
just so you know,
Mussolini over here.
none of us have said anything, but for 6 months you smell terrible.
That story you tell about with the hairy guy. Okay.
That was
Sorry,
really
everybody.
you, bro.
Sorry, everybody.
We just didn't want to break it to you.
man.
So for
I
that
thought I
6 month
smelled great,
period,
bro.
girls were saying no after they won the first date. It's because they could smell, you couldn't smell.
Damn.
Anyways, Adam's one of the cleanest guys
Sorry,
you meet in your
guys.
life, by the way. So you had yours as well. What was your symptoms when you had
I
it?
didn't even know.
Okay. So, but for some, like right now, I know a lot of friends that are not doing well. I had a couple conversations with them last night. One is in the ICU. Two of them were in the ICU. A couple of them are going through COVID, and it absolutely sucks, right? Okay. Now, you ever had bronchitis before?
Oh, yeah.
How bad is it?
Terrible.
Yeah, it's not fun.
I mean, it ain't
What's
fun
the
at all.
worst thing you've ever had in your life that you thought you could die? What's the worst thing you've ever had? Have you had anything where you're like, dude, this sucks? Like you were.
That was not self-induced?
Oh, wow. David Harris Jr. Truth comes out.
Yeah, that's another story, but almost overdosing is the
How
reality.
bad of a situation is that?
Oh, yeah. I thought I was going to die. I actually should have died.
Wow.
How old were you at that point?
It was 11 years ago, so 35.
Wow.
And would you share that? So what were you doing? What was it?
By the way, he said it so subtly. 11 years ago, I was 35. Meaning today, you're how old?
46.
I would have never freaking guessed this guy's 46.
Looking
Seriously.
good? Looking good?
I would never guess he's 40. Even Jennifer yesterday thought, I thought you were in your late 20s. Not Jennifer, your wife, Jennifer, my wife.
Yes.
So you're both Jennifers, okay?
Yeah.
And David's.
So you want to tell him because he asked you a question on
Yeah,
it.
we can dive into that. I'll just summarize, not walking with the Lord, trying to do my things my own way. My go-tos were alcohol, and then when your party starts to get a little bit long, it's Coke, and keep the party going. And so I had been doing that. We were living in Southern California in Orange County, and a friend of mine that we would party together. We went out to go get some Coke this one night, and we got it, and it wouldn't chop up. And I know this is not just R-rated, right? But everybody's seen the movies at least. Cocaine chops up. It's powder. It wouldn't chop up, and it was just kind of mushy. And he said, well, let's just smoke it. And so we smoked it, and it was unlike anything I'd ever tried before. And then he's all, how you like that? And I was all, that was different. And he's all, that was crack.
I believe that's freebasing.
It was crack, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that started about almost 2 years where I kept it from my wife
Brother.
for the most
wow.
part,
So,
but I lost about 50 pounds. I continued to lose
and you're a
weight.
big dude. What, 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'4", 250, 255.
And you went down to what?
180.
Dude. Okay.
My high school weight. So my wife didn't know what was going on. We moved back to Redding.
You were doing this without her knowledge whatsoever.
Yeah, I was doing it at night, or just I was working on road crews a lot, so we'd leave for a week or two. So we moved back to Redding, and within like a month, she just knew something was wrong. I found a new friend, Misery Loves Company, right? I found a new friend I used to do coke with, and told him I was doing crack, and he's like, I want to try it. I was like, that's a first. Somebody's like, wanting to try crack? I would have never said, sure, give me some crack, until my buddy's just like, here, smoke it. So my wife moved out, took the kids, and she's like, I don't know what's going on, but I know it's not right. And we would just be up like all night and into the wee hours in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock.
This consumed your life, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would still go to work. I would try to go to work during the day, which was, my business life was just falling apart. I was a business owner at the time.
And you're in your mid-30s at this point?
Yeah.
So it's not like you were some college kid. You were a grown-ass man with a family, man, and kids.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
So my wife reached out to an old friend of ours and said, Jeff, you've got to talk to David. Jeff, we've known he's one of my oldest and dearest friends, strong believer. When I went and met with him, he later told me, he said, you know that king in Lord of the Rings that had the spirit of death on him? He's like, that looked like you. He's like, I could see death on you. This was later. I'll get to what happened. So we had that talk, and then one night I was with my friend that we were just staying up and playing games and smoking, and you're supposed to exhale pretty quick once you hit it. and you try to. I'm always trying to push the envelope, and I inhaled it and kept it in a little too long, I guess. And my eyeballs started going up and down like that fast. Like you can't make your eyeballs go up and down that fast. And in that moment, I know I heard God's voice just saying, "Don't freak out, don't freak out. This will pass. This will pass." And so I didn't look at my friend sitting across the table because I knew he'd freak out. Like I would freak out if I saw somebody's eyeballs doing that, right?
Yeah.
It lasted about 60 seconds, and then it just subsided, went away. So the next morning, I called the friend that introduced me to crack and told him what happened. And he said, "David, if you would have freaked out and panicked, your heart would have exploded. Your body was overdosing." So it was about 2 weeks later, if you can believe that, but it was about 2 weeks later that I had finished doing all the drugs I had, which was fronted to me, actually. I finished it all, and then it was Saturday night. I was done, and I just said, "God, I made an absolute mess of my life. My wife's gone. Business is shut down. What do you want me to do?" And I heard him say, "Go to church." And this is now Sunday morning. I'm having this argument, so to speak, with God. And I finally stopped arguing because it was like I had nothing. I was absolutely just destitute and broke. So I stopped arguing with God. I went to church. It's a large church in Reading called Bethel Church. And that was a church I had used to go to. I share that just to say it was very large. And the road that leads to the church is like one road, and it only goes to the church. So I got in the car. I turned on K-Love. I think that's what the guy was listening to on my Uber on the way here, actually, today. I'm listening to K-Love, and I just started weeping. I just started bawling. I was just like, I'm just broken, so broken. I drive. The cars are lining the side of the street that the church is so packed. I get to the church. I get to the top. Cars everywhere. And then I see a sign that says parking lot full, and I keep driving, and the very first parking spot's open. So I park. I walk inside. They had the overflow was just packed in the lobby, and the church was totally packed. Service was probably just done with worship, so it was probably going for an hour. I look in the auditorium, and no seats anywhere, and I get a tap on my shoulder. This lady's like, "You looking for a seat? You can have mine. I'm right in the middle, third row from the left, on the left." So I'm kind of like looking up like, okay, I got a seat. I got this parking spot. I go and I sit down. As soon as I sit down, the pastor comes walking out, and he says, "Today's message, I'm going to talk to you about the prodigal son coming home and walking into his inheritance."
Talk about timing.
Total God thing, right? Total Papa thing. So I hear the message. I talk to a couple pastors that I knew that were right there, Chris Valentin and a couple others. Told them what I was dealing with, cracked. Told them I almost OD'd, and Chris actually prayed for me, and it felt like his hand just sunk into me, and never the same after that. Never touched crack cocaine again. And then
Cold turkey, boom, you're done.
cold turkey, done.
After
11 years?
Yeah, well, 11 years ago. Yeah, I was doing it for 2 years.
Have you touched alcohol since? Anything since?
Yeah. I still dabbled a little bit in alcohol. Quit that about 3 years ago, and then my wife and I quit together, which has been amazing, almost a year ago. So that's been a strong thing because it was hard being married. At least for us, we were kind of codependent. We got married young, right? I was 18, she was 16. That's a whole other story. But we grew up together, and then having issues, it can be easy to just, she's doing it, I'm doing it, we'll both do it. Although she never did crack, we used to do other stuff together. But so God is good, man. His mercy is real, his forgiveness is real, his restoration is real. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. And now I've got this platform. So anyway, it's
crazy. The stories last couple of weeks, by the way, right? I mean, it's not even intentional. It just kind of goes into it. The last two podcasts, right? Even the podcast with Gerard, and Gerard's not even a believer. Gerard just, is a guy who.
Well, Gerard's story is insane. His story about how he got stabbed and how he doesn't drink hard liquor anymore, and
Gerard's got.
You kind of got to get to the lowest point to redeem yourself.
Thank you for sharing that, brother. Appreciate you. Yes. A lot of commentary here is blown away by the story. Adam, what's the worst health condition you ever had where you're like, dude, this is nothing comes close to this. This sucks.
Yeah, well, luckily I've never had anything like that before. I have partied my ass off in South Beach, but I've always known my limits, so I've never been into the powder, been more into the green at the end of the night, like
money,
joint. Yeah, the money. I smoke money. Money's growing on trees. So luckily, I've never had these issues. I've never had this fall from grace or these, major hills and valleys. I think the worst Yeah, COVID was pretty bad.
COVID's the worst?
For 3 days, I could not move. I just glued to my bed, and then I think I had a bad flu one time before, but luckily I've been blessed with good health.
Phil.
Flu shot.
Flu shot.
20 years old. Because playing Division I basketball, they wanted everybody to take the flu shot.
Yep.
And I was like, man, I don't really want to do this. But at 19, freshman year, I took it. I didn't feel so good then. And then sophomore year comes around, and I'm like really bad for like 10 days. So I had to go to like the, they on campus, they have like a medical facility and this and that. And they're like, we got to run some tests because you can't leave.
You got sick from the flu shot?
Yeah.
At 20.
Yeah.
So this is 20 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they came back and were like, you have a certain gene variant that like, depending on certain flu vaccine or whatever, it could really create some problems for you. So I remember telling the team doc, I'm like, I'm not taking that ever again. I was at 21. And they're like, well, I guess you're not going to play. I was like, I don't give it. I don't care.
It was that bad.
Wow. Yeah. Like, 2 days of like knowing that like you got to run tests on me. And I just felt like, to be honest, I just felt like NCAA, they didn't give a damn. The coaches and staff, they didn't care. They're like, oh, well, you got to get it because it protects everybody else and this and that. We're all, traveling together, this and that. And I'm like, but I almost died. So, like, screw you. Like, I'll miss a couple games. I don't care. So,
So that was your close call.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about yours, Pat?
Dude,
Health and maybe in the Army you used to party a little bit.
I'm not going to count that stuff. That stuff is just
life.
Self-inflicted. Some of that stuff is self-inflicted. But I would say forget the war in Iran. I'm talking health, like situation, like something happens to you, catch bronchitis or pollen, all that. All the drinking, all the stuff that I did. It's just, in the Army, you drink tequila, 1 or 2 bottles of tequila every week for 2 years straight. Yeah. So just think about that.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you notice the stock of Jose Cuervo doing good from 97 to 99.
Thanks, PBD.
They owe you some money. Huh? They owe you some stock.
And I was a great recruiter as well, which means I never drank alone.
Yeah.
And I said, guys, come on.
Hey, guys, huddle up here. Big meeting, huddle up. It's our Monday motivation.
By the way, one of these days, Felix and Bradford's got to tell these stories of how it was in the Army. Anyway, so for me, I had bronchitis. Sucked, right?
When was this?
Pneumonia. Just in the last 15 years. I had it. It sucked. In the Army, I had a dehydration situation, which was terrible because I was digging a foxhole and I was trying to be such a great soldier that I dug up 6 foxholes, 6 feet by 3 feet by 6 feet in Cat 4, Cat 5, in South Carolina, in the heat, in July, August, which is the worst time to do so. Got completely dehydrated, was in a hospital. They had IVs on me left and right. So I've had a lot of those instances where I pushed the envelope. But allergy with pollen, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I was in the emergency room for like straight 13 times in a span of 2 weeks, first 6 months of 2019. Right, I can't breathe.
Dang.
I just couldn't breathe.
2 years ago.
This is it. Yeah, this is 2 years ago. Now, obviously, I didn't announce it. I said, I don't.
Allergy.
But it was kicking my ass. I thought it's over with, right? I'm like, Jen would hold my hands. I'm like, I can't breathe, Jen. So we'd go straight to ER. Middle of the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Pollen. And I asked the doctor, I said, so where should I live? The doctor said, you should be as close to the ocean as possible. I said, that's all you have to say.
Right? All right, we're good.
Hey, why do you have such a house in front of the water? Because the doctor said so.
Right?
Blame him,
What about the story you talked about when you were doing the PHP tour and you had sleep deprivation?
But that was because I was just pushing. Sometimes I don't mind those exhaustion from working too hard. I don't mind those because those happen once every other year, once every 3 years. I get one of those, right? Just go in. And a doctor says your body is just telling you got to shut it down for a couple days. Yeah. You get a few IVs, you come out,
sleep,
you're good to go.
Sleep. Underrated.
Yeah. Underrated sleep. Once a week, I tell you, I need a good once a week to get it. Anyways, the point is this. The point is the best news we're getting is the following, is that both people are figuring out a way to fight this thing, which is great. And we're learning if there's ever been a time in your life where the need to want to lose weight and be in shape has been the reason to do so. If there's ever been a time, you know how people say, hey, Uncle Johnny, take care of yourself. Hey, babe, take care of yourself. Yep. Hey, bro, you got to kind of lose some. Hey, dude, you got to kind of like, if there's ever been a time where you got to take your weight seriously, today's the time. By the way, you know what's crazy, this message, when you give this message, you know who hears it?
5% of
hearing.
people.
No, the people that need to hear it, they're like, can we change the topic already?
Oh, yeah.
Something else.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
bro, this is like, I'm
People
telling
that are
you.
doing it are like, yes, exactly.
Well,
I'm 42 years old, Phil, and we were talking about it yesterday. You were telling me
Yep.
all this stuff. Flexibility, I'm feeling at 42, right?
Right.
I'm training with my guy, E. He says, listen, if you don't start at 42 exercising, this thing gets very hard at 50. And it's going to get harder and harder and harder.
Right.
Health, exercise is very important. COVID validated. Clean your hands. You know, that's one thing. Fine. The other part is your diet, your health.
Absolutely.
You got to go take care of your health. A lot of people just don't look at that. So,
Yeah.
but you know, Joe Rogan, more power to him. So happy for the guy. Very happy. He's very, very necessary today for the world. This is not even like Joe is necessary for the States. Joe is necessary for the world because he's getting everybody to have the tough conversations. So glad the guy is doing good 3 days after having COVID.
Yeah.
Well, he
absolutely.
made
What
them
did
all look
Carlos
stupid,
Mencia
too.
say about him, by the way?
Carlos Mencia said, great. He said, what? He says, what? He said, I got COVID. He says, now they're going to say, what was the tweet about him? You sent it to me. It was
They're gonna say,
hilarious.
I stole COVID from Rogan.
They're going to say, I stole
I
COVID
plagiarized
from Rogan.
COVID
Yeah.
because he got it or something like that.
First of all,
It was
Carlos has
funny.
got to
It was
get on
funny.
Joe Rogan and get it over with, by the way. Carlos, go make
Carlos
that
needs to
phone
come
call.
on this show.
He already has. Oh, you mean
Well,
come
again,
back on the podcast? Yeah,
podcast.
we're trying to get a date for him to come on the show.
Come on,
Yeah,
Carlos.
he will.
No, but you're definitely right. I mean, Joe Rogan, like, shout out to you. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we really just have to take the aesthetics out of like working out and just look at just the health in it in itself. I think when people talk about, you know, health, they're like, oh, well, you're talking about a slim waist and this and that. It's like, well, yeah, but we're really like at the Vault, I was talking about how all these entrepreneurs, you know, they want to work hard, push, push to make money for their families. God bless them. But at what cost?
Right.
You know, so then when they get older, they're trying to buy back their health.
Yeah. That was
Let's
a very
try-
powerful message.
Let's
you
try to
gave, by the
figure
way.
out a balance, but most importantly, right now, like what Pat's saying, I mean, we're at a great moment in time where we should be outside. Vitamin D. We should be getting healthier, you know, foods in our bodies. You only get one body. You should really treat it with greater amount of respect. And this isn't fat shaming or anything like that, but obesity does kill.
Yeah.
And right now with COVID, the stats show that if you are overweight, you need to do something about that. Now that may come at a price later on if you ignore it, or you could pay for it now and hire a personal trainer. You can go on Google and start figuring out, you know, what healthy methods can I do currently. There's so much information out there. So I just want to encourage more people to, you know, just like how you would treat your business, treat your body even better. You know, really mind that body, like figure out like what you think you're eating probably isn't healthy. Well, let's change that. You know, fast food, probably not. You know, let's learn how to cook again. Let's learn how to maybe drink less alcohol, get proper sleep. And when we talk about recharging our bodies, let's recharge them so then when we are going back, like when you say, you know, you're going to run yourself hard, but then you know how to recharge so you can do it again. Majority of people don't know how to do that. So
Question for you, Phil Heath, 7-time Mr. Olympia. How lucky are we? If there's a scale, 100%, what percentage of health and wellness is attributed to diet versus exercise and working out? Can you give those numbers?
This is very, very interesting because at the Vault, I had people tell me what it was. They're like, oh, it's just 80% diet, 20% working out. And I said,
Okay.
well, if that's the case, then there would be no gyms. Like, you know, you have to move your body.
Is it 50-50? What are you saying?
I mean, I think it definitely depends. I would say for the most part, people got to start moving their bodies. So I'm going to go probably 60-40.
60-40
I'm going to say
diet?
60-40. No,
40%?
I'm going to say moving your body, 60, diet, 40.
Oh, wow.
Because
Just so you know, in the bodybuilding world, that's very unconventional to say that. That's what he's saying here, because most people will say the 80-20 rule.
right.
Diet is more
To
important
move
than
your body,
exercise.
it's very,
You
very
have to do it. Like,
Yeah.
how many people are actually getting 30 to 45 minutes of cardiovascular work 3 to 4 times a week? Just cardio in itself. Very few people. How many people are eating like crap all the time, every freaking day? So you definitely have to move
Yeah.
your body. You know, and it enhances your lymphatic drainage. We talk about the lymphatic system. We can go into that in another time, but just the levels of inflammation. And due to COVID, there's this thing called COVID fatigue. So, you know, people stressed out all the time, their cortisol levels going through the roof, the inflammation that they carry, you know, you start seeing people that stress, you look at their eyes and you look at their cheeks, you know, like they just look run down. Well, because they're on the internet looking at negative stuff. So we talk about positivity more. We talk about loving ourselves more. thanking ourselves more for even standing up for, the adverse times. But, I really do believe, like, when you talk about faith, I think it's very important that we find something very positive that we could, look at to hold us up when we can't hold ourselves up.
Awesome.
So, good conversation here. Let's move on to the next story, which is the Tim Tebow joining ESPN's First Take as new Stephen A. Smith's foe. I have some feedback on this. I'm curious to know what you're going to say about this. Tim Tebow will be joining ESPN's First Take as one of Stephen A. Smith's foe. The network announced Thursday the mid-mannered, Bible-toting Tebow will prove an intriguing foil to Smith, whose on-air outbursts have made him the face of ESPN and in turn given autonomy over the makeup of the daily TV show. The 34-year-old Tebow has worked for ESPN as a college football analyst in the past and is coming off a failed NFL comeback attempt. This summer, Tebow tried to convert from a quarterback to a tight end with Jacksonville under his former college head coach Urban Meyer, but was cut before the season. He previously told in the Mets minor league system for 5 years. This guy just wants to compete. He's like saying, dude, put me in the game. Put me in, coach.
Yep.
I want to. I'm ready to play, right? This guy wants to compete. So ESPN getting Tim Tebow. Fridays is going to be Tim Tebow. Mondays is going to be Michael Irvin. And then Tuesday through Thursday, they're going to mix it up, okay? Michael Irvin and Stephen A., when they're together, it does very well, right? Obviously, back in the days, this thing blew up when it was Skip Bayless versus Stephen A. It was popping. Max, good on the football side. He's done good with his analysis. How do you think this is going to work out with Tim Tebow being on First Take? I'm going to go to you first.
Look, I think in terms of Stephen A. Smith versus Tim Tebow, if those are the two contenders, I think Tebow is completely out of his league. I think it's...
In what sport, though?
Anything and everything except for football.
Okay, good.
And look... What's
Stephen A.'s first sport, though?
Basketball.
Okay. So let me ask you, who knows more about baseball? Tebow or Steve?
Tebow. But it's for me, I don't even know if it's the knowledge of the sport. It's the ability to talk and use your words and then just get out there and like make yourself heard and then use all these words and these analogies and these metaphors.
Not a lightweight. Don't underestimate.
No, but I'm saying there's a steak in the sizzle. I don't think he got the sizzle. He might have the steak. I don't think he's going to bring the heat to Stephen A.
You've never
Smith.
seen him call people out? You never saw him give that one message that got like 50 million views when he called out the team saying, what the hell happened today? Like he grilled their entire team.
I hear you. I don't think he's a lightweight, but I don't think he's on Stephen A. Smith's
On a serious note, are you lobbying for you getting the job?
I could hang with Stephen A. Smith. I'd love to give it a shot.
Okay.
But I do have respect for Tebow. I've met Tebow. Obviously, more than anything, I think a good influence on the culture. Or as my friend Gerard likes to use, on the zeitgeist. But I think he's a great dude. I think he's got a good message. I think from a debate standpoint, I think Stephen A. Smith's going to run all over him. What do you
David, how much you follow sports? Are you one that follows First Take or all that, or not really?
No, I don't. I stopped watching football specifically, and then all of them when they all followed suit and started doing the whole BLM thing, kneeling for the anthem.
You literally stopped watching.
Oh, I literally.
Were you a sports guy? Did you play? You're 6'4",
I was a dancer in
220.
school.
Oh my goodness.
I was a dancer.
What?
My choreographer danced with Michael, danced with Janet, danced with Paula.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, he was the it
settle
guy.
down.
He was the
Settle
it guy
down.
in Hollywood
You want a
in
dance
the 90s.
battle, bro?
No.
You want a dance battle?
No, I don't want to show you what's happening.
So you were a dancer.
So
what does that mean?
I was a dancer.
Wow.
No,
like a break dancer? What kind of dancer?
No, I did some popping and stuff, but Eric Henderson was in Michael Jackson's Captain EO. He was in several of Janet Jackson's videos, and he was the it guy. He was actually so good that when he was dancing on a set, like a big open, it was actually outside. Madonna was walking up and down the aisle looking at dancers and picking them out. She looked at him and he's too good. She didn't want him on the stage with her. But he was phenomenal. And so, yeah, I danced early. I was in a
never played football.
dance
I
competition.
could see your high school
I did
basketball
like Pop
coach.
I did Pop Warner.
Trying to recruit you like crazy.
When we got into high school, it was either run around and get sweaty with a bunch of guys or dance with all the girls.
Me and Phil.
So I'm dancing, and hey, God used that because my girlfriend, Jennifer, my bride now, but my girlfriend before I met her in high school, we were in a rally. The whole high school was in the gym, like the whole high school. So it's a rally, right? And I was in the competition group, and it was just I was the only guy because most guys can't dance, especially in high school. They can't dance and keep up with the girls. So there's 8 girls behind me this way and 8 girls behind me this way.
Wow.
We're in a V.
Yeah, he was playing the numbers.
We're in a V formation. We're tearing it up. We actually learned the numbers, the dance routine they just done on Soul Train Music Awards. So Jennifer, before I ever met her, she sees me dancing. She nudges her best friend, and she's like, "I'm going to marry that guy."
Oh,
wow!
Man.
Before
Those
we ever
how
met,
good your dance moves were.
There you go.
See, that's never happened.
You still want to dance?
Let's circle back to the mid '90s. I was killing bar mitzvah dance floors.
All right.
You don't want no part of this.
But you're on but now you're on
Love to see
Bumble
those
and
videos.
Tinder.
I love to see those videos.
Okay, let's get back to Tim Tebow here. So you're not a big sports
Here's a
guy.
question you got to think about with Tim Tebow. And by the way, if you're listening to this, if you think Tim can hang with Stephen A. and you think this is a good move, smash thumbs up. If you say, no, this is not going to work, put thumbs down. If you think it's going to work, thumbs up. If you don't think it's going to work, put thumbs down. This is my biggest concern. This is my biggest concern with this taking place for First Take. I don't know if ESPN as a company will keep a conservative on. History says no, okay?
Right.
History says no. Because if you think about what happened with Will Cain, I thought Will Cain was great. I liked him a lot.
Yep.
But Will Cain started kind of talking about.
I don't remember who that
you don't
is.
remember him?
No.
If you pull up Will Cain ESPN,
Pull him up, Kai. Will Cain.
type in
How
Will
do you
Cain
not
ESPN.
know who Will Cain is?
The guy was
Maybe
an
if I see
absolute
him.
stud of a guy. I loved him debating, and he made some good arguments.
C-A-I-N.
C-A-I-N.
I know Dean Cain,
That's
Superman.
no, you know who he is.
You know who.
Type in images, you know who he is. Will Cain.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
He would do his
Not
debates.
someone that I've
right
followed
there,
tremendously.
Right there. I thought
Yeah,
his
okay.
debates were great.
Yeah, all
Didn't
right.
agree with all of them, but half the time I'm like, okay, he's pushing the envelope. You know, whether it was Kaepernick, whether it was some of these things.
Okay.
I don't know if ESPN wants opposing arguments on
What
those
happened to
types
him,
of
though?
issues. They fired him. He went to Fox. Okay, they didn't keep him there. He went to Fox. ESPN doesn't keep conservative hosts.
Wow.
And if they do, if they keep Tim Tebow, I think it's a very good business move,
I agree.
not philosophical move, because they're
Right.
going to be able to regain some audiences that they lost over the last 5 years.
Well,
There-
what do you
there
always
it
say?
is.
You got to convert.
Yeah, but I don't know if ESPN's going to. By the way, kudos to ESPN for giving Tim Tebow the once a week. Kudos for ESPN.
Yeah.
More power to you.
What's in
Now
it,
let's see if
though?
he's going to keep his job.
No, I think it's smart for ESPN to have Tim Tebow on. I think it's very important because he is college football. You know, he could talk about football nonstop, but like you talk about him going back and forth with Stephen A. What Stephen A. can't talk about is the mental fortitude of commanding team, commanding other men in order to go on the field and do amazing things. Stephen A. has not done that.
Right.
So I definitely feel like Tim Tebow can say, you know, hey, man in the arena, you're over here, Stephen A. I was actually in those
That's
locker
right.
rooms. I was
That's
actually
right.
on that field.
It's a lot of
it's a little bit different. And with his age, even though he doesn't know how to do this, he doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Stephen A., you're making a lot of money with ESPN, but I was out there on the field learning. Talk about the humility of me going from Heisman to this. And I have no quit in me. So you don't think that Tim Tebow's going to say, I have no quit in me. What makes you think that I'm not going to outlast you? What makes you think I'm not going to come back bigger and better and stronger and faster, smarter? That's what I'm honestly expecting from him.
I hope he crushes it.
By the way,
think-
I liked
yeah.
Max Kellerman. Were you a Max guy?
I was not a Max guy.
Really?
No,
Why is
I was
that?
not a Max guy.
Yeah.
I was not a Max. Because Max tried too hard to be black.
Whoa.
That's it. Because Max tried
Said
too
it.
hard to be black.
What does that mean?
Are you kidding me? Did you ever watch? Like he was trying to be more black than Stephen A. was trying to be. Like it was almost like I don't know if you have friends like this. Like I had friends who tried so hard to be a gangster and they were not. I had friends who were trying so hard to be cool and they were not. I had friends who were trying so hard to be a basketball player and they were not. Friends who were trying so hard to be players, they were not.
Did you see that his personality changed from like boxing to First Take? Because that's the first thing I noticed was that he wasn't the same and he was
Yeah.
trying to convert.
You know he was a rapper before, right?
Max Kellerman?
You guys being sarcastic or serious?
No, I didn't know that.
Max
No.
Kellerman was a rapper
I could see
before.
him being able to spit a little
Max
bit.
Kellerman was a rapper back in the days.
He had bars?
Oh yeah, he's actually pretty decent, by the way.
Okay.
He's got a
What-
music
what-
video.
what
I can't
was
put it
his,
up right now because they're gonna. But he actually was pretty decent. I just wasn't a fan of. Here's why I'm not a fan of the First Take show on how it was. When Bayless, like Stephen A. gave a lot of credit to Bayless. He says I was a nobody. Bayless brought me up because Bayless was the relevant guy. I was a nobody, and I had somebody to go up against, right? And they would debate.
Right.
Will Cain, to me, was better than Max Kellerman. Will Cain would destroy Max Kellerman. Stephen A. would destroy Will Cain, but Will Cain could go up against.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
The challenge is Will Cain used to be a Blaze guy. He used to be with the Blaze. I don't know if you remember Will Cain from the Blaze years ago. Will Cain used to work for Beck. ESPN brought him on board, and then he went straight to Fox. Will Cain could end up being one of these next Tucker Carlson type of guys.
Oh, he's that.
Do you remember when Tucker Carlson was a nobody 20 years ago, and Jon Stewart went on their show and destroyed him? And Jon Stewart says,
when he used to wear a
"You
bow
guys
tie."
suck." Yeah, he says, "You guys suck. You guys are terrible." And look at Tucker Carlson today.
Yeah.
By the way, you know when they came out with the data on who they think can be the presidential candidate for 2024? You know who's fifth on the list? Tucker Carlson.
Wow.
Fifth on the list is Tucker Carlson. Number one is obviously Trump. Two is DeSantis.
Three, Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley's three. There's another one
Pence.
that's yeah, and then five is
I
Tucker
don't see
Carlson.
Pence.
No chance.
How do you
Tucker
put
Carlson,
Tucker
by the
on
way.
the top five? So I don't know. Listen, ESPN, if you keep Tim Tebow, good for you. I'm betting 70% within 3 to 5 years, Tim Tebow is going to be fired. I hope I'm wrong. If they keep him, salute to them.
Right.
And I hope Tim Tebow challenges him in everything Kaepernick does, everything NBA does, everything LeBron does, because sports is no longer just sports. It's political.
Yeah.
So there has to be an element of sports today that talks politics. You can't just say sports is the sports of 20 years ago.
No.
It's
Pat,
no longer.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
Unless you're in the UFC.
Favorite sports commentator
Stephen
out
A.
there. He's
Stephen
number
A.
one to you.
Oh, yeah. Stephen A.
How about you, Phil? He's
Snoop Dogg on Thriller.
Snoop Dogg.
You know what? That's it.
Snoop Dogg on Thriller, bro.
They look like my two uncles are out there fighting.
my two uncles. He kills it. You have a favorite guy or gal?
For what?
Sports.
Sports personality commentator.
Oh,
He
commentator.
just told you he was.
No.
No, I know. Maybe it's a dance
No.
commentator.
What about for football?
Yeah.
Romo.
Romo's good.
Romo's a
was-
scientist,
Romo was
by the
good.
way.
It was
He's a scientist.
It was just amazing
good.
when he
He's
was
a
breaking
scientist.
it down.
Peyton
Yeah.
Manning's legit. He's hilarious.
He's good.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning.
I
is-
like Scott Van Pelt, SVP.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
You looked at me like I was getting like.
And I know who you're talking about.
Okay,
Just not
but
a
you
fan
looked
of
at me like
Scott
I like offended you.
Well,
You're like-
because you did. Somehow I was offended. For a second, I was offended. That you
You
brought him
know,
up.
low key, who I'm secretly kind of in love with, Malika Andrews. You know who that is?
Of course.
Pull her up, Kai. Malika Andrews.
Malika Andrews, if you're listening.
Malika Andrews or Carrie Champion?
The fact that I don't even know who Carrie Champion
What?
is. Yeah, Malika
Wow.
Andrews. She is adorable. Go to that one right there. Kai, no, third. Yeah, boom. Are you kidding me? She is gorgeous.
Malika,
Pull
if
up
you're
Carrie.
out there, hit up
Yeah,
Sauce.
Malika. We can
Hit 'em
talk
up.
sports. We can talk Tinder, whatever you like.
What? That's
Kai,
not
who-
how you. That's not how you get the girl, bro.
No
That's
shame.
Phil, teach,
No shame and no
teach me your
game.
ways,
wow,
bro.
bro.
Great. I
Kai,
hope it
pull up
works
this
out for
Carrie
you.
Champion girl.
Good luck.
So,
Just saying, I think she's pretty damn adorable. This guy's Carrie
so when she
Champion.
gives her commentating, you don't listen to anything she's saying.
No, I do. I listen very intently. No, it's not
All
even
right.
close. Don't, you can,
Okay.
You can remove.
Let's continue. Let's continue. And, you
I just struck you down, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
Let's
taking,
continue.
bro.
By the way,
Like,
speaking of awesome women, let me just give a quick shout out. Jennifer Bette David killed it on stage. Killed it on
On
stage
the vault?
at the vault.
Yeah.
And Cherie Heath, what a babe. Awesome. She's awesome. Respect.
Damn right.
Okay. I'm giving
you.
respect to the
I
ladies.
appreciate
All
it.
right,
Appreciate
let's continue to go to your favorite story.
Yes.
Trump and DeSantis.
Favorite.
Adam said, "I want to know if this is the truth."
I want to hear from David Harris.
So we're going to see what David Harris has to say about this, and we're going to see what Mr. Sauce has to say about this. So Trump reportedly said he effing hates Ron DeSantis. This is the week story. As former President Trump possibly eyes the 2024 run, a new report suggests there's one other potential contender whose popularity he really resents, Florida Governor DeSantis. A report from Vanity Fair this week delves into how various Republicans are testing the waters for 2024 presidential primaries in case Trump doesn't decide to seek the GOP nomination. And among the likely contenders in that scenario would be DeSantis. But the report describes that the fact that the Florida governor's biggest challenge may be his fraught relationship with the 45th president. Trump effing hates DeSantis. A Trump confidant told Vanity Fair he just resents his popularity. Earlier this year, 2024 straw poll taken at the Western Conservative Summit saw DeSantis slightly ahead of Trump, 74 to 73%. So I'm going to go to you first. Have you heard anything about the story, David Harris Jr.?
No. And my first question when you asked me last
Yeah.
night if I even knew about it was who reported it. Because I've got a filter that I've got to put everything through, and every single individual in America, literally in the world, should understand that you've got to put things through a filter. Who's saying it? What's their source? And is anybody else verifying that? And what's their angle? You know, which way do they lean? Vanity Fair leans heavily left, so far left.
Maybe furthest left. They're in the category of furthest left.
Yeah, they're out there with Rolling Stone, who just got smashed for posting a fake news article against ivermectin, saying that hospitals in Ohio were overran with people having adverse reactions to ivermectin, so much so that people that had car accidents couldn't get in there. The whole thing was made up. The whole thing was a lie. Rachel Maddow, she ran with it. BBC ran with it. So anyway, I have a filter. So my question is, who's saying the article? Okay, they're left-leaning, biased reporting agency, and what would their intention be for this? Well, try to create some division amongst conservatives, or at least to Democrats, make it look like the higher-ups, Trump, DeSantis, are at odds with each other. I haven't personally heard anything. I've reached out to some connections that are close with Trump. I haven't heard back from them, but it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, DeSantis is doing exactly what, he's an America first governor. He's leaving the state open. He's trying to leave the state open. He's allowing people to go to work. They're seeing, their numbers soar as far as employment. They have so many hit pieces against them on, the virus is out of control in Florida, and then they wind up having to retract all that because it was total made up. Like, they literally took data from last year and plugged it into this year to try to make it look like they had a massive resurgence of COVID in Florida. So there's an attack to try to separate and to make Trump look bad or make DeSantis look bad, but I haven't heard any of that, and so, I don't see that either. And I definitely don't see him actually making a statement that would go anywhere, even if he did for some other personal reason have an issue with DeSantis.
Yeah. So you buy into the comment that Obama said, don't underestimate Biden's ability to F things up.
Oh, yeah, I can believe that because, I mean.
Can you see that happen? You can't see Biden doing something like that. He's one of the greatest presidents we've had in the last 12 months.
Well, yeah, sure. 81 million people voted for the guy.
Most popular president of all time.
Yeah, as he couldn't get 50 people to his rally, which is why they had to start using Jeeps to go in there and honk. So
I want you to be careful because he gets offended when you say things like that. Adam gets very
All I do is speak the truth.
David Harris, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Odds that Trump runs in 2024, what you got?
I say they're very good.
I don't want to hear very good. I need numbers, baby.
I'd say it's 90%.
90?
Yeah. I don't think that's the question, though. I think the question isn't that. I think the question is, who on the right do they want to be the leading candidate representing the 2024? Meaning,
Trump.
Do Republicans today want Trump or do they want DeSantis?
They want Trump.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
The base that Trump built and the energy that's in the conservative party, and there's a splintering, right? Because Trump was the outsider. So the GOP, I mean, it's like there is a splintering in the GOP from the Republican Party that would rather have DeSantis. They'd rather have DeSantis than Trump. They say, well, Trump's too polarizing, this, that, and the other. But you know what? I think more people in this country are fired up to be conservative and to align with conservative values, which is what Republicans do, than ever before in this country.
Here's a question for you. So say, for instance, Trump says, I'm not running. Do you think Trump will go campaign for DeSantis to win?
If DeSantis is the guy, I think he would. Yeah.
You think he would?
Yeah.
So you
just
don't
like
think
he is right now with state, with congressional races. He's endorsing candidates. He's out there. He's pushing. Mm-hmm. You know, he said he's not gonna just take this loss, this perceived loss. I mean, it is right on paper. We got a president on paper right now that's in there because of fraud. In my personal belief and opinion, there's absolutely no way that he should be in office. And I'm still holding out for the Arizona audits. I'm still holding out to find out what the audits have to say. Because I believe that when the audits come out of Arizona, they're going to decertify their results. That's going to be the first state to do it. And then I think Georgia's going to follow suit with the audits. Wisconsin's talking about it. Pennsylvania.
What do you actually
all those
think
swing
the
states
odds of
need
that
to do.
actually happens, Dave?
You know what? On my podcast, the David J. Harris Jr. podcast, on my podcast for
David
a year.
You
got to have J. You got to have the J in there.
What's the J stand for?
James.
David
James.
It's kind of like
two
the
Bible
Donald J.
names,
Trump.
right? Well, it's just
My
David
son's
James.
middle name is Jay. So
David James, Harris
James,
Jr.
keep going.
So for the better part of a year on my podcast, I would say if for some Hail Mary chance of a reason Joe Biden got in office, well, he's in office. So now I'm saying if there's a Hail Mary chance that we can get these swing states to actually do a forensic audit, and look, if Biden won, then all power to them. Great. Everybody that's supporting Biden and supports the Democrats, they should be happy. They should be able to say, look, we proved it, now shut the hell up. Great. But if not, why are they roadblocking and stalling these audits from happening?
But you're using term like Hail Mary. So this is a Hail Mary.
Well, it is. Yeah, no,
1% chance of anything happening.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If it was a Hail Mary chance that Biden got in, which he did, what I'm saying right now is what I truly believe is a way to rectify the fraud. There's no statute of limitations on fraud.
Until it happens. Until it happens, it happens. I mean, I want to stay on topic here. So let's go back on topic here. So how bad you think it would look when DeSantis and Trump, imagine the debate stage for Republican, these two guys are debating, okay? You have on stage Nikki Haley. You have on stage DeSantis. You have on stage Pence. You have on stage these guys are debating.
Right.
How ugly will that get if that, because to me, the sight of Pence and Trump debating, doesn't look right, okay?
Yeah.
And do you think DeSantis is going to sit there and allow Trump to take shots at him? Or do you think Trump's going to be okay if DeSantis, like, the Kamala Harris shot at Biden? Do you remember the whole thing, like how awkward that was?
Oh, yeah.
Was it the first debate or second debate?
Well, she basically called him racist.
She basically called him racist, and it became the VP, which is a formula.
I'll come work for you now.
But how weird will that look to see DeSantis, Trump, Pence all on stage? Nikki Haley makes sense, but the other three to be on stage, if that were to happen, how competitive do you think it would get?
It almost seems unimaginable. Like that's how
I agree with that. That's why I'm asking the question.
The fact that you see Pence, DeSantis, Nikki Haley up on stage debating Trump.
Yeah.
And let's not forget what Trump did in 2016.
Haley's fine.
No, she's got some questionable.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
That's not what I'm saying.
Trump.
What I'm saying is Haley doesn't give a shit to go and
call
him out. That's what I mean.
She'll call him out.
She'll call him out.
It almost seems like they're just going to give him the nomination. Like, I don't see Trump. Remember how ugly things got in 2016 between lying Ted Cruz and little Marco Rubio and the whole cast and Sleepy Ben Carson and with the whole thing, how ugly it got. I think
you know what though with Trump, he never really went at Ben. He never went at Ben with any shots.
Carson.
Ben Carson.
Yeah.
He just let Ben be Ben, right? He
Sleep
didn't really
on
have
stage.
He didn't really have anything to say. I'm almost wondering if that was the case. It's hard to imagine, but if that was the case, if we'd actually just see them each try to lay out their best plan for how to move this country forward in the right direction, and unless somebody has a reason for shots like Pence,
dude.
Trump's not going to back down off of that. Because
let me tell you why.
He could have stopped it. He could have stopped he could have given another 2 weeks back in January to say we need to actually look at some of this material instead of moving forward with certifying the election, and Pence didn't do it.
What do campaign managers get hired to do?
To win.
Seek and destroy.
For you to win, right? Yeah. Not for you to win.
Not for the party to win.
The campaign manager has a lot on the line. If I'm taking DeSantis and I want to be your campaign manager, I'm asking you a question. Dude, are you playing to be VP or are you playing to be the president, right? Because I got to have a good record as well. So then Trump's campaign manager, they're going to do what they do best. They're going to make those short clips go viral, because you'd be in jail type of videos. Their social media team is a freaking beast of a social media team, right?
Yep.
So he's going to do his part. But I will tell you, DeSantis is not a lightweight. DeSantis is not Pence. No. DeSantis is not Nikki Haley.
No.
DeSantis believes he's the president of the United States. DeSantis has that identity that I'm going to be the president of the United States, and I think I'm the right guy to do the job. I think that's what and there's a part of America that believes the same with him as well. So
it'll get ugly.
Huh?
It'll get ugly.
I agree. That's my concern.
Yeah.
Let me give you my 2 cents.
Here's the other conversation.
Okay,
do you think, how Biden has a meeting with, not Biden has a meeting, the folks on Biden's camp have a meeting with Sanders, with Elizabeth Warren, with everybody, like, listen, guys, Super Tuesday, drop out, come support, let's go win. We got to beat this Trump guy. We can't be dividing.
Right.
You think there's going to be somebody that's going to say DeSantis? Okay, so let's have the conversation. So visualize this conversation. I'm from Trump's camp. I go meet with DeSantis, and I say, hey, Ron, we'd like to have a meeting with you. And they have the meeting behind closed doors. And they say, Ron, how much do you love America? You know how much I love America. Ron, we think the best thing to do right now is the following. How about you agree to not go up against Trump? You become the VP. Trump becomes the president. And we go beat Biden. And then after Trump's done, you win and you become a 2-term president. Okay, visualize it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're Ron DeSantis. What do you think Ron's going to say in that meeting?
That's tough.
Hell no.
Yeah,
He's gonna say hell
It's hard
no.
to say no to that, is what you're saying.
No.
No. He's gonna say hell no. He's
No,
gonna say, like,
because
are you crazy?
It's almost like this. It's almost like
I don't know though, because DeSantis has to see the rise in popularity among the conservatives and the Republican Party due to Trump, the Trump effect. You can't deny the MAGA effect, the Trump effect. Instead of trying to chop Trump down and go after him and potentially lose, he could be a sure bet if he got with Trump, and then he could still have the chance to be president for two more.
I don't know if he sees it that
terms.
way. I think
I don't know. It's tough.
I think here's what you got to ask him: is he Dwayne Wade, or is he Giannis? Is he a guy that's going to be like, hey, let's team up and go build a super team together? You know, like, hey, come on, let's build a super team in Cleveland and Miami and Boston.
Right.
Or is he a guy that's going to say, no, I'm good. I can build a team around myself, and I think I'm a good number one. I think you're a good number one, but I also think I'm a good number one. I get a feeling that Ron thinks he's a good number one. I don't get a feeling that I think Ron thinks he's a number two. There's a moment where Trump is bringing Ron up. This is in 2019. And Trump says, you know, I'm not going to lie to you. First time I met Ron, I said, you know, Ron's a little chubby. Ron's got to lose some weight because I was always worried that Ron's a little heavy. You know, he's a little round. He's a little heavy.
He said this, or you're saying
Trump
you can imagine?
said this to DeSantis, bringing him up.
Wow.
And he says, he says, yeah, you kind of feeling him. I'm thinking this guy's a little heavy. He's, you know, he's got to lose some weight. And Trump is saying this about this. He says, and then one day I tap his shoulder. When I tapped his shoulder and I felt all the muscles, I said, no, this guy's not chubby. This guy's muscular. This guy's strong. He's the only politician I've said this to. He said, I told Ron, you ought to take your shirt off more often. Don't wear a jacket. With that being said, help me bring up your governor, Ron DeSantis. That's how I brought him up. Only Trump will bring stuff.
Yeah.
I even got a smile out of this.
Funny. I actually think that there is.
He kept it real.
He kept it real.
He kept it real.
I actually think there is a little bit of credibility to this story, and I'll tell you why. And I get that it's Vanity Fair. You know how they say
You would think there's
I would.
credibility to Vanity Fair.
He would.
No, I'm not. I don't even care if it's the Vanity's. I'm
subscriber to
based,
National Enquirer, just so you know.
I'm going based on Trump's
22
track
years.
record. You know how they say the ego is not the amigo? If this poll is anywhere, this is at the Western Conservative Summit. This ain't Vanity Fair here, David.
Yeah,
this is
that's
a straw poll.
though.
Okay, cool.
It's a poll.
The fact that we all know that Trump loves the polls. I'm doing great in the polls.
Yeah,
The
but that
fact
doesn't validate him saying something like that about DeSantis.
That's not what I'm saying.
All right, I'll let you
Then
go.
don't
What I'm
cross
saying-
the two together.
I'm
though.
doing
That's
it.
what he's trying to do. So that's what he's
I'm
trying to
saying
do.
if there was a poll,
That's what people that have been programmed do.
I'm saying if there is a poll that even shows DeSantis beating Trump doesn't like that, bro.
Love you, buddy.
Okay, listen. I think we all agree. Here's my prediction. Trump runs again. He's not going to win. If DeSantis and Haley win on the run on the ticket, they can win. I think you're forgetting how toxic Trump is. I think if you take a DeSantis and a Nikki Haley, you're going to get people in the middle to vote for them. I think if you're cool with your 42%, you know, maybe you get to 45%, you're back to, oh, we got the election stolen from us.
Here's the
they
benefit.
don't like Trump.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Go to anybody after their first term. Okay, Obama after his first term. Did he have a terrible first term?
He did not have a great first term.
Okay, go to.
Did he have a terrible first term?
I wouldn't
Did he
say
have
terrible.
Did he
I
have a
would say
terrible
he had-
second term?
Did he have a terrible first
presidency.
term?
What's that?
Did Obama have a terrible first term?
He did not have a good first term.
But not a terrible.
I'm
I
not
think
saying
it was
terrible.
Okay.
I'm saying it
So do you
was
think
subpar.
Bush GW had a good first term?
Junior?
Yeah.
No, with 9/11 and
Okay.
Katrina.
So let me continue.
Not a good
Do
look.
you think Clinton had a good first term?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Take all of their first terms.
Yes.
And even Trump. Do you think Trump had a good first term?
Until COVID.
But that's not on his control, though. Because even he
Arguably.
delivered. Well, he brought vaccine
Arguably.
within 9 months. Even though everybody said, even Fauci said 18 months, he delivered within 9 months, right? That's not because of Fauci. Trump was dealing with all these other guys that brought it, okay? So today, if we look at Trump as a first term, was it a great first term, good first term, terrible first term, or a bad first term?
Depends on the lens that you're looking at it.
0 to 10.
For
Let's say
how
5
are we
or
judging
6.
it, though?
Even for you, say 5 or 6.
Sure.
Okay. Who between Trump, Obama, GW, Bill Clinton had a worse first term? Those four or Biden so far?
I mean, just based on what happened to the country, you have to say George W. Bush with Katrina, with 9/11. That's
okay, so you
the
put him
worst.
first. worst term, first term.
Yeah.
You put Biden.
Biden? I mean, he's been in less than a year, so it's let's
Bro,
see
it
what
only
happens.
took a year for him to break everything. I mean, look, he didn't need a whole 4 years. Some people don't need 4 years. Some
What's
people
that
are more
week?
competitive.
Afghanistan?
It took
Are you
whatever
kidding
with
me?
his
Jimmy
50
Carter every
freaking-
day thanks God saying thank you for
Your
Biden.
favorite president of all time is Jimmy Carter.
Carter's officially taken off the list. He's officially taken
Look,
off the list.
I don't think that Biden is doing great
Okay.
at all.
Not doing
but
great.
he's less than a year in.
Here's
Let's see what
actually where I'm
happens.
going with this. Where I'm
Yeah.
going with this is you forget the fact that depending on how Biden does, he makes it easy for anybody to say, we got to try somebody
I don't
else.
think Biden should run again in 2024.
Oh, you want Kamala as a president?
No, not
I don't think he's
Kamala.
going to
You want
finish his
Pelosi?
first term.
Pelosi?
Not Pelosi. I think there should be a rule. If you're over 70, peace out. Peace out. For moving forward. Peace out.
Really?
Trump, Biden, Pelosi.
So who are
Keep
you, a
it moving.
Buttigieg guy?
What's that?
Buttigieg?
No, I'm not. But I think he's a talented guy. But I'm not a Buttigieg guy. I just think, again, I'll say this again for those that weren't listening. I think if DeSantis and Nikki Haley run on that ticket, they can win. If you throw toxic
They'll
Trump
pull
up
in
again,
independents and some Democrats too?
that's what I'm saying, David.
All right, I hear
We
you.
all know that if you're a conservative and you're a MAGA guy, you love Trump. But nobody else does, bro. Like, do you
I love his
understand that?
policies. It's not about the man, although I appreciate him.
Okay.
Met him 10, 11 times.
How
spent some
many
time with
people
him in the
vote
Oval
on
Office.
policies?
Well, they're
10%
gonna
of people?
start to
More
because of
people
what's
I don't,
going on
I don't
right
think
now.
so. I think that argument of forget about the candidate. Forget about the candidate. Put a blank picture of the candidate and just look at their policies.
Well, if we keep
I think
going the
it's
way
I don't think anybody does that. I think it's an emotional attachment to who the candidate is, and people we're emotional
Sure, there's
creatures.
some pizzazz in there, right? Somebody gets
You
up. I mean, that's the
think?
whole
What's
reason they
the,
have the
that's
debates.
that's his whole-
People want to see somebody and how they're going to interact,
Right.
how they're going to talk.
Of course.
What's the percentage right now of people wanting to retract their vote from
20%.
Biden? It was 20%, right? 1 in 5.
Out of 80 million people,
That's enough.
That's what, 20 million?
16
That's
million.
16 million people.
Okay.
So that alone.
And by the way, secretly,
What
you're
does
part
that
of that
even
camp
mean?
as well, though.
No, I don't.
You pull the lever for Biden?
Again, I will tell you this:
Stop.
DeSantis,
You vote for Biden?
and Nikki Haley, you have a chance.
You vote for Biden?
Toxic Trump, you have no chance.
Adam,
Yes, sir.
you vote for Biden?
When? In 2020?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You regret your vote yet?
I don't regret my vote, but I think Biden has some cleaning up to do.
How?
All he's done is make messes so far.
Well,
Like a little kid crapping in his diapers. That's some of the
At
some of the
least
looks that Biden does after he says something. It's that look he gets. It's the look a little kid has when they
Again,
crap
This
their
is, this
pants.
is how I look at it.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation already. The way I look at it is the following. Who's a good number one? Okay? Biden's not a good number one.
but nobody voted for him to be like.
I
They
told-
were
but
like,
they-
we got a drunk
But-
driver
but
at the
what I'm-
wheel. Someone
but what
take
I'm
the wheel.
saying
That's
today,
why people
but
voted
what I'm
for Biden.
saying today, people are starting to realize you don't vote for a number 4 to be a number 1.
Right.
You don't do that.
Correct.
Gerald Ford was never a good number 1. He's a good number 2 or 3.
What
He ain't
about
a good
H.W. Bush? He was never a good number 1, and that's why he didn't get elected a second time, right?
Who didn't? Senior?
The senior.
No. He didn't get elected second time because he got cocky thinking he's going to win. And Ross
And
Perot
also
came
Ross
in.
Perot,
No,
yes.
so that's a very different anomaly you just brought in. No, that's
But he wasn't really a true number 1.
I think against the people he was going up
Yeah.
against, but I also think Ross Perot was a number 1.
Yeah.
I think Ross Perot's a number
could've
1.
been.
Are you kidding me? I
Yeah.
think Ross
Yeah.
Perot was a fully good number 1.
He just
So-
didn't have the
Ross
look.
No, but
Didn't have the
Or the
pizzazz.
sound.
so the challenge I'm having right now is DeSantis is a number 1.
He is.
So is Trump. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Pence, I don't think Pence should run.
No.
I think people behind closed doors that are telling him to run, I think should say nothing. I think should say just stay there because Pence's legacy right now is not that bad. It's not great, but Pence's legacy, believe it or not, remember when Trump first announced Pence? What did people say? Like,
What?
Pence?
Who's this
Yeah.
white
Yeah,
bread,
was he?
vanilla?
And
or
then you
whatever?
got to know him. You're like, you know what? And yeah,
likable.
cool. Yeah, he's likable,
Yeah.
and he's
Seems
That
stable.
guy's as vanilla as it
calm.
gets.
But that's exactly what Trump needed.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why he was a
No,
good
it's-
selection.
So let me go to the next story. So
Yeah.
if you don't believe that story, Melania Trump is telling her friends that she has no interest in being first lady again, despite her husband's 2024 teases report. This is an insider story. Several of Melania Trump's friends told CNN she had no interest in returning to the White House, let alone helping if her husband decided to run. Former President Trump hasn't declared a 2024 candidacy, but has teased the possibility, saying his supporters will be very happy with his decision. Previous reports said Melania Trump was happy and relaxed since exiting the White House earlier this year. She largely remained out of the public eye, unlike some of her predecessors predecessors and has made a few public appearances. So do you think she really wants to be a first lady again?
0%.
No.
I agree.
Yeah.
So if I have to
doesn't
believe
care.
one of
She
these
doesn't
two
want
stories, I think this is the one I believe in because I don't
Yeah.
think she ever wanted that kind of
No.
eyeballs. I think she just wanted to be at peace,
Yeah,
just kicking
and the
back.
hate.
Yeah, the
I mean,
toxic.
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was so toxic
How's that
for
going
her.
to play a role if he? Because I 100% think Trump's running again. You're saying you're at 90%. You're at where?
I'm going to ask him when I interview him in 3 weeks.
I'm sure he'll
Yeah,
duck
I'll
the
ask
question
him.
like he's been ducking the question
I'm
to everybody.
gonna put it.
Hannity,
I need a yes
your
or no
boy
question.
Hannity, yeah.
I need a yes or no answer.
His best
Mr.
friend
President,
Hannity couldn't get it out of him.
on
I don't
this
know if you're going to
question.
get it out of
No,
him.
he's
I'm gonna
right.
try.
What percentage you got?
All in. I mean, like
100%?
Yeah. Why
Pat,
wouldn't he?
where are you?
As close to 100% as possible.
Okay, so you're 90, 100, 100,
And that
99.
only 10 is looking at if we can get the election integrity laws passed and stop the massive voter ID debacle that is what stole the last election. We can't have mass mail-in voting like that. We've got to have voter ID laws.
I'm
There's
with you.
got to be
Voter
something in
ID.
place to
I'm
make
with you
sure
on
that we as Americans, all of us, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, can have trust and faith in the election process.
Well, I think we can all hope, whether you're on left or the right, that COVID is not here in 2024.
Wait, what are you
I think
talking
I don't
about?
know.
What are you
I don't think it's
talking
I
going
about?
hope that
anywhere.
it's not a
What
major
are you-
factor like in this
are
past
you, what are
election.
you oh, stop it. Okay. Are you serious? Listen, in a game of war, when you see a play that works,
Yeah.
you have to figure out a way to use it again.
And again,
Okay.
and
This
again, and
was
again.
a proven
So you
formula.
think they're going to remix it?
It's been remixing.
They're doing it
How
now.
many different variants are there right now?
They're doing it now.
Does mail-in ballots work?
For fraud.
Does mail-in ballots work to get as creative as you want as possible? I don't care whether you believe whatever happened. You listen, Biden's the president today. But does mail-in ballots work to be able to manipulate more than you coming and showing your ID?
Obviously,
Okay,
yes.
so to me, I'm not even saying it happened or didn't happen. All I'm saying to you is you can get more creative with mail-in ballots than you can with IDs. You think they're going to let that go? No way.
Who's
Listen,
they?
when you play football, you're gonna continue the same play. If they cannot stop your running back, what do? Keep running
Yep.
through the middle. They can't
Yep.
stop it. Keep running until you found a play to stop it. I'm running through your linebackers because your guys suck today. They're going to figure out a way. COVID may not be around 2023. Something's going to be around 2023 to create a shutdown.
But that's why what David is saying,
But
as far as the
wouldn't-
audits, is so important.
Let me give you a flip
Sure.
perspective. Let
Sure.
me give you a flip perspective.
for it.
Okay, if you're saying that's the playbook,
Yeah.
shut it down, mail-ins, I think that would actually be a bad look on Biden. His whole candidacy is like, I'm going to take care of
but
COVID.
no, you don't.
I'm going to take care
Are
of
you
COVID.
kidding
And
me?
if it's still around in
There-
2024,
do you realize
that's going to be an issue for him.
To a community? I'm at a restaurant. The lady outside, she's sitting there. She's saying, "Let me tell you something. I cannot believe in the state of Florida, I don't see anybody wearing a mask." She's at Valley with a mask on. What an irresponsible! No wonder all of these people in the state of Florida are so sick. Look at these. No one has a mask on. She's hollering at me, and I don't have a mask on. I'm outside waiting for my car. I said, "Man, where are you
You're
from?"
outside, by the way.
I said, "Man, where are you from?" Yeah, I said, "Man, where are you from?"
Yeah.
I'm from the responsible state of California. I said, "Oh, really?" Yeah. He says, "Well, there's a reason why so many people are leaving your state.
Yep.
Because they're being forced to do things they don't want to do." Which means what? There is a group of people that think shutting down is the responsible thing to do. And you're forgetting that audience. There's a group of people that say, "Dude, what a responsible guy here, Newsom. Oh my gosh, Reed Hastings, is he a pretty smart guy? He's a hundred.
You're talking about Netflix.
He runs
Yeah.
a $200 billion company. Is he pretty a smart guy?
He's a pretty smart
He
guy.
gave $3 million to Newsom to keep him in there. Why is he? You think Reed Hastings is a dummy? No. There's a group of people that think what he's doing is right.
Well, dude, think about it. If you're the CEO of Netflix, you don't want people going to the damn movie theater. You want people at home watching TV.
That even if that's the argument, even if that's
That is the argument. Stay home.
Even if that's the argument, if that's the argument, still he's not a dummy. There are a lot of smart people that have done well for themselves that are going to support a Newsom, that are going to support somebody that stays home rather than going to work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are lobbying for that. So
There's
anyways,
a lot of
we're going to
smart
see.
people that support communism and hate capitalism too.
We're not here to disagree on that point. All I'm saying to you is when it comes down to 2023, 2024, there's a group of people that think it's responsible to shut down rather than leaving it open for people to decide.
By the way, some of those guys you just mentioned are some of Pat's closest friends. Don't offend Pat. He talks to communists all the time.
I've probably interviewed more communists than anybody else on YouTube from a capitalistic
Yes,
standpoint.
it's
not
a
from
debate.
That's great.
It's
All right,
amazing.
so let's go. Let's
It's
go
what
to
you do.
You wake anybody up yet?
Nonstop. That's what we do
Nonstop.
411. Two
Nonstop.
stories before we wrap up.
Yes,
One,
sir.
Adam Sandler says Netflix asked him to rewrite his new movie so it wasn't set in China because the company doesn't do business there. Page 5. I'll go to this and then we'll wrap up with Taliban. And I want to hear your thoughts on that.
This is page 6, Adam Sandler, top of 6.
Is it 6 or 5? You
6.
got 6? Okay,
6.
6. Let me see where it's at. 6. Did I miss it?
Right
Okay,
at
here
the
we
top.
go. So Adam Sandler's okay. In the forthcoming comedy Hustle, Sandler plays a basketball agent who attempts to revive the failing career by recruiting an extraordinary overseas talent to the NBA. In the final version of the film, Sandler's character recruits a promising player from Spain, played by the real-life Memphis Grizzlies forward Juancho Hernan Gomez.
Well done.
Sandler says, it was written originally that I find a player in China and somehow Netflix is not in China. So they were like, would you guys please make it so we find someone in Latin America or Europe? Last year, Netflix CEO Reed Hastings told CNBC that the company was not focused on cracking the Chinese market. What do you think about this?
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting to
Very
me because you got a big market in China.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there saying, yeah, I don't think if that's the market we want to get into because I don't think we're going to win, period.
Right.
If we go there, because what's really going to happen? They're going to see what we're doing. Year and a half later, they're going to take all our method of doing business. Then we're out. They're going to oust us anyways.
Yep.
So it's not a winning proposition for us to try to compete in China.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
Do you agree? Do you agree with his point of view?
Is it
Smart.
Reed Hastings or Sandler?
Reed Hastings.
Yeah, no, it's
This is interesting because we just talked about.
I
Reed
know, we just took a
Hastings
shot
on-
at him.
We took a shot.
Yeah.
The fact that he's like, no, I'm not going to China, not worth it. Is essentially basically saying I'm not worried about making more money in China. Why do people go to China? Why does the NBA go to China? Why does Nike go to China? For the money, baby. For the freaking money.
Yeah, the cheap labor.
And he's basically saying we're good. We're going to go everywhere else in the world. We're not going to go to China. Respect to him on something like
I
this.
agree with you.
No,
Yeah.
I
mad
agree with
respect.
you. Yeah.
Even if it's his own personal,
Motives.
that
Right,
he's doing it, we should stop doing everything with China.
Yeah.
He's respecting his IP, big time.
Yeah,
Why not?
absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way, little fun fact: this Juancho Hernan Gomez. I think there's a couple brothers that play in the NBA. These Hernan Gomez. Over the weekend, while we print this out, he got traded to the Boston Celtics, so he's no longer on the Memphis
my
Grizzlies.
gosh.
So
What's
Very
what's the
important
brother's name?
announcement.
there's
Because one of
another
them played.
Hernan Go-
One of them played for the Nuggets, and I used to watch him play.
Yeah, and then he got traded to the Knicks. I
Yeah,
want to say
yeah,
there's a
yeah,
couple.
yeah.
Look, the Gasol brothers, the Collins brothers, the Holiday brothers. There's some brothers in the league, and not the
A few brothers.
There's not the brothers, but like actual brothers. So these Hernan Gomez guys,
Well, we're glad you cleared that up for
Yes,
us. Thank you
just
so
for
much
everyone,
for that.
all
That
our
was very
big sports
helpful.
fans out
all right,
there.
next, Taliban declared China their closest ally. This is a Telegraph story. China is the Taliban's principal partner in the international community. The Islamist group has said it is its strongest signal yet of diplomatic priorities. Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid on Thursday claimed Beijing was ready to invest and reconstruct Afghanistan as he set out hopes that China would provide a gateway into global markets. Mr. Mujahid said that the Chinese would revive Afghan copper mining and production as he expressed admiration for the One Belt, One Road project under which China extends significant loans to the other countries to invest in infrastructure. Western critics have framed the initiative as a debt trap that helped Chinese extend geopolitical influence, a charge rejected by Chinese leaders. David, I'm going to go to you first with this one.
So the Taliban wants a seat at the table. They want a seat at the G7. They want to be recognized as a world leader. On my podcast over the last couple of weeks, I've had a very close friend of mine, Victor Marks, who's been to Afghanistan. He's got a house still in Iraq. He's a former Marine. He's a veteran. His COO is a Delta guy, Jeff Teagues, and he's got assets on the ground. That whole Pineapple Express that we heard about, where the veterans went in and actually rescued thousands, doing more for Americans than this Biden administration was doing.
Kennedy.
Tim, what a beast.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Victor's team is a part of that coalition that Tim Kennedy is a part of. Chad,
Was it Pineapple Express?
Pineapple Express, yeah. So he shared with me because right before we pulled out, right before Biden pulled out, wouldn't say we, because I don't think most Americans don't believe that we should have left the way that we did. The withdrawal shouldn't happen the way that it did, and Americans are still left behind. I was worried that we were going to start to see some of these, just straight up executions, throats getting slit, Taliban's just, that's what they're going to do. And Victor helped bring me down and gave me a lot of peace to just think about. He's like, they're looking at the long-term play here. Mm-hmm. The Taliban's looking at, now they've got control of Afghanistan. There's $3 trillion in minerals in the soil in Afghanistan. And they want a seat at the table. They want to be recognized as a world leader. They want to have a say-so at the G7. So China coming in, giving them becoming a partner with them, giving them the rights to be able to go and mine, it's going to help them, of course, absolutely diplomatically. And they're sitting on a gold mine of Americans. They want to ransom these Americans. They want to sell them back to us, basically. They want to get paid. So I don't think we're going to see slaughter. I think we're going to see what we're already hearing, some of the reports that the Taliban's not letting Americans leave. They want ransom payments made. And here we've got China that is just continuing to make their marks bigger and stronger with more connections. And here we've got the little old United States of America with Joe Biden at the helm, not a real leader and somebody that's afraid to tell the Taliban what we should do and what we will do. Instead, he's taking orders. Okay, we'll be out by the 31st. Okay, we'll do this and that. It's an absolute mess. But the Taliban is and China connecting is absolutely something that the world should be very, very concerned about.
I think what this does is kind of come down to alignment. Everything's kind of falling into place based on who your homies are. All right, it's like, what am I getting at? What's the correlation between China and the Taliban? Because that's not exactly like they've been in cahoots. The common denominator is Pakistan. China has been influencing Pakistan. They've invested in Pakistan. Pakistan clearly has been in cahoots with the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, all that fun stuff. Who has the United States been, in alignment with? India. So India is the regional power over there. India and Pakistan have major beef. It's kind of like, the axis and the axis of evil and the allies kind of all taking place. So it's kind of like draft picks. If you ever play 5-on-5, all right, I got this guy. All right, I got this guy. United States drafted India. China drafted Pakistan. Pakistan comes with the Taliban. We've got this country over here. And that's essentially what's taking place here. It is concerning that the Taliban is aligning with China, best friends with China.
Why are you surprised?
Whatever that is.
Why are you surprised?
I'm not, because again, they're aligned with Pakistan. That's why I'm not surprised.
Yeah, no, China's going to align with anybody who hates America.
Yep.
What are you talking about? Like the phone call you got to make is, can we make a list of countries that hate America? Who's at the top? China. Okay, make a phone call today.
Right, exactly. We'll take Iran. Yeah. We'll take North Korea. We'll take Russia. That's on our team. Whereas the United States, we'll take India. Yeah. We'll take Israel. We'll take the United Kingdom.
Anyone that hates democracy.
And that's what I'm saying.
Anyone
with
that hates our democracy, they're aligning
of
themselves
evil
with,
and
period.
the Allied powers.
Well, look at the One Belt One Road project. I mean, that's so freaking huge.
Yeah.
Shout out to General Robert Spalding for a Stealth War book. Guys, I've been talking about this book ever since it came out. You guys need to start reading it. I mean, he basically let out, he just laid out the freaking playbook. I mean, and it's very unfortunate that it actually is playing out because, you got Americans literally on social media liking certain communism, feeds, and they have no freaking clue what's happening right now and what's going to happen as China aligns themselves with people like the Taliban. I mean, this is very dangerous. This is not for play.
I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to keep saying this because I think China's number one enemy today that they fear. China has learned they can control America.
Yeah.
Easy.
They're already here.
Yeah. They have figured out a formula because the challenge with a lot of people in America, politicians, they can be bought, money, all this stuff. It's very easy to buy America today. Yep. China's got the formula. They're killing it. More power to them on their strategy. They're obviously enemy, but all I'm saying is they outsmarted American politics, right?
100%.
But there's one country they despise. There's only one country they despise. I pulled up data the other day. We were looking at ages. Do you know the average age of population in U.S.? What is the average age? We have 330 million, give or take, people living in U.S. Guess what's the average age of an American today?
42.
Average age.
Oh, average age, I'm sorry.
Average age. You say 42? You're pretty close. What do you think it is?
I was thinking mid-40s.
Okay, 38.1.
Okay. Because millennials are the largest generation, baby boomers before that.
38. What do you think is the average age of a citizen in China?
Lower than that.
What do you think it is?
No, I would say higher.
Probably higher than that.
38.4.
Okay.
By the way, not that far off. 38.1, 38.4. What do you think is the average age of someone in India?
In their late 20s.
What do you think?
No
it is?
idea.
26 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they want
26
them.
to 38.
Look, India's
yeah.
going to surpass
Wow.
China in
They fear
population.
China, they
Yeah.
fear India like you don't even. If I'm U.S., Biden won't do it. Whoever's the next president that needs to do this. If I'm U.S., if I want to protect the world long term to make sure China doesn't, I'm doing whatever I can to strengthen India with our relationship. Anything I can to do to strengthen them, that's where I'm going. Because the same game these guys are playing, you got to go to the one person they fear the most.
Right.
It's like that one person a guy doesn't want his, the family to talk to, or girl to talk to, or a person to find out about who's that one person. China fears if India gets stronger.
Right.
I'm going to do whatever I can to strengthen India today, because China's going to shiver if India gets stronger, because China's getting older. That whole one baby rule backfired on them.
Yep.
Okay, that one baby rule is what got the average to be 38.4. And FYI, America's not as young as we're acting like we are. We're only 38.1. It's like China and U.S. is about the same age. India's 26. So there's a savior there for the world, and it's India. So you want to team up with Taliban? No problem, China. You go team up with Taliban. Hey, here's what we're going to do. You got 75,000 Taliban people you just teamed up with. Good for you, China. We just teamed up with 1.5 billion.
Right.
And let me tell you what we're going to be doing. We're going to strengthen them. Let's create a partnership and go tell the world about it. That's what I would be doing. But
And they're
again,
a democracy. Let's not forget. A democracy's
They're a democracy.
aligned and dictatorships aligned.
they are brilliant. They are great engineers. They're willing to work. They are hungry for information. They want to learn. They have their own Bollywood. They have their creative.
Yep.
They have so many different benefits. There's so much to build out there.
Super passionate people.
Super passionate people. They got a rich history as well. There's some areas with mindset that can be improved, but they got strong school. IIT is one of the best engineering school in the world. Some will say it's even better than MIT in the U.S. So anyways, I think China fears India.
I agree.
So
I agree.
My
we
hopes
talked
are,
about alignment, and I gave the analogy of the draft picks. If you have the two great powers these days, United States and China, and we have our first pick, we're taking India.
yeah. If it's Taliban, China just picked up a scrappy player. You know how you build on a basketball team? They just picked up a scrappy player.
Yeah.
But you know who India is? India is a guy you can build a team
It's a
around.
first-round draft pick.
Not only a first-round draft
India's
pick.
a shack.
This is a
India's a shack.
This is
India
a
is somebody
franchise.
can
It's a
build
first
a
pick.
team.
Who's
Exactly. This is
Taliban?
a franchise player.
Dennis
Taliban
Rodman.
is like
No,
a
man, you
Patrick
got it.
Beverly.
That's a guy.
Dennis
like
Rodman's
that.
too good. He was too
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I would put a
Who's the
Beverly.
Taliban?
I'd put like a what was that one guy? Delavadova.
Matthew Dellavedova.
Ah, there you go.
Scrappy Australian.
That's
Yeah.
probably
He's an
what I.
Australian. He can't leave Australia.
So
but,
what do you think? What's going on with Hawaii right now? What are you seeing? What's going on with Hawaii with some of the restrictions they've created in Hawaii? Maybe we can wrap up with that and then go into your book, and then we'll finish up the podcast.
It looks like Australia. I mean, the Democrats in charge over there in Hawaii. I've got people that are reaching out to me like crazy. I posted a video of a chief, a fire captain that had been there 20 years. That they are forcing the jab on people in order to work. Even their servicemen, from hospitals to fire to police. They're making it like a police state, like what we're seeing in Australia. And it's not going to get any better, I don't think, in these states that have these Democrat governors and are Democrat majority. They're going to try to take as much as they can. They're going to use fear to try to put people in the box, to make people think like it's a responsible thing to do, because they're being programmed. Because they want full power control. It's leading to socialism, and it's happening one state at a time. And it's horrible what's happening in Hawaii. The beautiful thing is it is waking people up, and people that have been on the sideline hoping things are going to get better, believing that things are going to get better, but not having a dog in the fight, not being vocal about it, they're getting vocal. So I believe, I hope and pray and believe that what's happening in Hawaii, what's happening in California, what's happening in New York with the mandates there in New York, businesses just saying, hey, you can't even go into businesses unless you've been vaccinated.
Yeah.
We see an uprising take place from the people that have not been vocal, and I think that's what it's going to take in order to really turn things around.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is options, man, choices. That's the biggest thing. Have choices for people. The other day I saw a poll, what percentage of Americans believe it's okay to expect a vaccine passport to travel. 63% are agreeing that
it's okay?
That airlines should make it okay.
Wow.
For you to by the way, that's a
International or
real
domestic?
number. Domestic. That's
It's already
a real
happening
number.
international.
That's a real number, by the way, 63%. And don't be surprised if it gets there. If it gets to the point where you are forced to do that, That's going to change the game for a lot of people. Some of them are going to be in the middle saying, I don't care, I'll get the shot. Some of them are not going to get the shot. What's going to happen? What business is going to take off? Not a lot of people can travel private. You can't afford $27,000 a flight to go somewhere 15.
Right.
I mean, you're going to be spending money. So it's a very interesting direction we're going as a country. David J. Harris Jr., tell us about your book, Why I Couldn't Stay Silent.
For people that want a perspective for why an individual and somebody in the black community is a conservative, supported Trump, did not support Obama, I get into what I believe is the new KKK of today. The KKK's whole sole mission was to manipulate, dominate, and control. And I believe that that's exactly what the mainstream media, the majority of the liberal mainstream media is doing today. It's not just lynching people out in the streets, but it's lynching a person's public voice. It's like I've been banned on YouTube. I'm constantly getting threatened and having my voice diminished on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Twitter just continues to do that. So I get into that. I would get into what I believe the new civil rights movement is of today. And forward written by Candace Owens, a great friend of mine. Loved what she wrote in there about me. And I think the greatest chapter actually in there is the chapter that my wife put in there. It's a short chapter, but beautiful story behind it. When I shared that video, when my page started, the reason I created a page was I started at the beginning, after the third debate between Trump and Hillary, I hopped on and I ranted for like 14 minutes. I had like 1,500 friends on Facebook. Didn't have any platform. It was a very pro-life message I shared as a Christian, as a husband, as a father, as a business owner, and as a member of the black community. And it's in that order for me. My identity is not in my skin color. My identity is in who I am in Christ first, and then who he's made me to be as a husband to my bride, as a father to my kids. I'm an active member of my local community. I am a part of the black community. But my identity is not in my skin color. So I ranted and I raved. I went off on what I felt was at stake for this country when we were looking at choosing between Trump and Hillary. It was a very pro-life message, and I shared why that was. My wife then became vocal about the fact that her mom was in the abortion clinic and about to abort her. And on the table waiting for the doctor to come in, she decided to get up and leave.
Wow.
And she had that little baby girl that grew up and became my wife. I wouldn't be the man I am today. We wouldn't have the two amazing, beautiful daughters that we have if it wasn't for her mom, who didn't have the greatest circumstances. The father was not going to be in the picture. She didn't think she could handle raising a kid. If she hadn't had the courage to choose life, my bride wouldn't be here. So she shared that, and about a year after I posted that first video and my wife posted that, a friend of mine reached out to me, and he said, you know, I had a friend that was pregnant and was debating having an abortion, and I didn't know if I'd have the right words to say. So I sent her your video, and I sent her your wife's story, and he said, here's a picture of little baby Ian.
Wow.
She decided to have a baby. So that in its entirety is in there. I think that's the greatest message. And I think that for people to just get on, if we got on the same page, it's never okay to harm a child. Who would ever sit back and watch anybody do any kind of physical damage to a little kid? Nobody would. I wouldn't. I don't think anybody at this table would. So what separates the little inch and a half of the belly to the baby that's inside the belly? If we could all get on the same page. When Roe v. Wade was enacted, science, they didn't have what we have now. Right now we know it's not just a cluster of cells. Right now we know a baby has a heartbeat at 5-6 weeks. It can feel pain. It has its own fingers and toes. It has its own DNA. It's not a part of the woman's body. It's a body in its entirety. And if people just came together on that and then supported individuals that supported life, for me, I say if it's off in somebody's moral compass, that's an actual baby inside there and they're okay doing damage to that baby, what else is off with their moral compass? If we could just align with that, especially believers, those people of faith out there, but you don't even have to be a person of faith. Science now proves it and backs it up as well that it's a baby. So I get into a lot in there, and if a person wants to know, they can get it at davidharrisjr.com.
We're going to put the link below to your book. Thank you for that testimony, sharing it with us. Kai, put in the comment sections and put in the chat box as well. Gang, if you enjoyed today's podcast, order his book, smash the subscribe button on the channel. David, if you can autograph my book as well.
Absolutely.
Having said that, folks, hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I'm sure we're going to bring David back in the future again. With that being said, Adam, Phil, David, Thanks, guys. Take care, everybody. We'll do it again this Thursday. I think we got a special guest this Thursday. No? I think Michael Francis is going to be here this Thursday to talk about Mafia States of America. I think Michael will be here in 2 days, so make sure you join us as well this Thursday on the podcast. Take care. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.